In January of 2010, Blue Mountain State began airing Tuesday nights on Spike TV around 9 or 10 p.m., depending on what the shady world government refers to as your time zone. Now, if you haven't heard of Spike TV, good golly gosh, you are in for a treat. Boobies, beer, breasts, beer. They had it all.
Do big boobs float? How fat would a dude have to be to stop a bullet? Can you fart so hard your balls explode?
Because they were both owned by Viacom, the series aired on MTV in places other than America, including airing at midnight 30 on MTV Brazil. I told myself I wasn't going to say it like that, but I wrote it like that. Eat your heart out, Moon Channel. No one's going to know who the fuck that is on a Blue Mountain State retrospective. According to a press release, more than 20 other countries had aired the show by the time Brazil got their hands on it. So despite being about the very American tradition of pigskin, it did get some traction other places. Interestingly enough, this is actually technically a Canadian show, filming at various colleges near Quebec, including John Abbott College and McGill University, which explains the hockey episode. From the jump, this show was focused on social media, featuring content on bms.spike.com, which included weekly previews and pictures of hot babes. Now, Spike TV, they know hot babes. They're all about the boobies, you remember me saying that. But they weren't too familiar with scripted content. Something pointed out by the press when BMS first hit airwaves, and something you can see with the editing and cinematography when the show first starts, both of which improve as time goes on. Blue Mountain State was produced by Lionsgate and Varsity Pictures, a company owned by Charla Sumter Bridget and a guy named Brian Robbins, one of the people behind hits like Smallville, which of course has a lot of crossover cast with BMS, and sports films like Coach Carter, Hardball, and Varsity Blues. In 2021, Robbins would become the head of Paramount, but Varsity Pictures specifically was a little less successful, with 3 of the 5 films they made being the Fred movies. Eric Falconer rounded out the executive producers and writers initially announced, along with his friend from Emerson College in Boston, a man simply known as Romansky. That's right, just one name. He's like goddamn Cher. Originally Chris Romano, not only did this fella co-create Blue Mountain State, but his father was the most notorious arsonist in the entire state of Massachusetts in the 60s and 70s.
He's a flamer.
Not only that, but Romansky also starred in BMS as Sammy Cacciatore, the school mascot. A former writer on South Park, Romansky branched out along with Falconer to expand their resume to include shows like It's Always Sunny, landing long-term positions on the Sarah Silverman program before the two thunked up BMS, pitching it as
Animal House set in Division I college football.
Once they heard that Spike was looking for a college football comedy. Despite being very unconfident in their pitch to the network, Spike liked the idea enough to buy it. Falconer and Romansky, unable to physically write in the same room due to different creative processes, would create their own versions of the script, combining the best parts of both into what would become the final version of an episode. But when it came time to finally write that pilot, these two nerds were pretty unfamiliar with the world of sport. Falconer had played high school football apparently, but they decided talking to former college players about their parties, hazing, etc. would be the best bet, with Romansky adding that most of the stories they heard were too wild for even Spike TV to air. When asked by ESPN about the concept of the show, the sweet, easy life of the backup quarterback, he cited Matt Castle, former backup to 7-time Super Bowl champion Tom Brady. Romansky said of Castle,
"He definitely had that life. He's a good-looking guy, played in college, played in the NFL, never played a game, but enjoyed all the perks. If I was him, I would just try to get hurt in order to get back to his old job. He was way better at not playing."
That's f***ed up, bro. Curtis Painter was right there. The Chiefs under Castle ended up going 10-5 the year Romansky said that. My boy threw for over 3,000 yards that season. 27 TDs. Way less picks than Drew Brees or even Peyton Manning that year. God forbid the team with Jamal Charles runs the ball. But to be fair, Castle was the backup in college as well to both Carson Palmer and Matt Leinart, legendary Heisman-winning QBs at the University of Southern California. USC at the peak of USC. Reggie Bush, Pete Carroll. You couldn't have a sweeter gig to tell you the God's honest truth about the whole situation, and Castle agrees, telling the New York Times in their Blue Mountain State article, weird sleeper cell coded sentence there, New York Times in their Blue Mountain State article, Castle mentioned how he could have a few more cocktails than the guy starting the next day, free from all the typical pressures of the quarterback position. In that same article, Eric Falconer says that the program's meant to be enjoyed at a very surface level, but I think there's a lot of room for complexity in that concept. Not just what Castle said about the dichotomy of the starting and backup quarterbacks, but how the unknown pressure of starting is always looming in the back of the QB2's mind. Falconer also cited how these characters are barely adults, facing the pressure of playing in front of millions, pointing out how real that is through the silly, goofy fart, big boob bullshit of this series. Despite all the thought and research put into the quarterback position, the star of the show, Alex Moran, his roommate Sammy, the school mascot I mentioned earlier, had a little less thought put into his character. Romansky told New Hampshire Magazine,
I've always been interested in the whole mascot thing. You don't really have to have any credentials to be a mascot. Just be willing to wear the suit in front of hundreds of thousands of people. But they are the most lovable part of the team, and you don't even see who the person is. So, no, we didn't really do any research on them. There's nothing really to research.
And as a former D1 mascot, yeah, he's pretty much spot on with that. The costume's tough to wear, but I'm sure he found that out pretty quick. As far as the role of Sammy specifically, there was a little more thought put into casting that. Romansky, despite being the co-creator of the show, didn't just give himself the part. He tested against 2 other actors and was still picked for the role. And Slick McGinnis here was pretty cuckoo nutso on set apparently. But everybody seemed to have a good time. Maybe it was some sort of Romansky persona or some weird actor shit like that.
I've seen his penis more than my own in the past 3 seasons. I've honestly seen his penis more than my own.
But I guess that takes us to the rest of the cast. And first off, we gotta talk about Thad Castle. The absolute best and in many ways deepest character on the show, and for sure the most quotable. Alan Ritchson, arguably the biggest success coming out of the show, apparently got the part right away, which was also the role the writers were the most worried about. But lucky for Ritchson, he looked like, and I'm quoting Falconer here, a douchebag.
He sort of had all of those qualities of that 1980s villain that we wanted.
And we got a bonus because he was bi as well.
Interesting. And also, this isn't in the script because I found it out after writing it. Alan Ritchson was also on American Idol, and when I watched the clip, I think I remember it from like the deep recesses of my brain when I watched this with my parents as a kid. But even weirder than that, he went to high school with Tobuscus.
I ain't never gonna say a word like...
The aforementioned main character of the show, backup quarterback Alex Moran, was portrayed by former Days of Our Lives star and future The Croods Family Tree voice actor Darren Brooks. And he didn't have as easy of a time winning over the BMS writers, as they were, obviously, highly invested in who was going to play the lead of their show. Brooks had to come in and read for his part a few times before he actually got it. Apparently most of the actors who auditioned for Alex couldn't nail the part because they came off too douchey, which is fascinating to me considering how fucking douchey Brooks comes off in the role at some points, but we'll get to that. One of the best performances on the whole dang show to me comes from Coach Marty Daniels, played by former Vikings running back and Laverne and Shirley alum Ed Marinaro, who was actually a Heisman runner-up himself at Cornell. Marinaro said he felt like he was cast into some kind of time warp when he was working on Blue Mountain State, having to greatly adjust to that style of humor as compared to what he did in the 80s. When playing Marty Daniels, Marinaro embodied the worst qualities in the coaches he dealt with throughout his career, and he nails it, coming off like a maniac loose cannon while still being relatable to that one gym teacher we all had in school.
I want you to think of this team as a big-titted co-ed with a tight little ass.
Now, I'm not going to rank the episodes or give them a star rating or anything like that. I'm just going to give a little quick recap followed by my thoughts. So if that's not your style,
I understand.
But there is going to be behind the scenes and production factoids sprinkled in throughout, so if you like this, then you might not want to miss that. Alright, time to get into things here. Let's get ready for some football.
9/11, baby! 9/11! Never forget!
Episode 1 here, so of course we're going to be introduced to the characters. Freshmen Alex Moran and Craig Shiloh get notebooks from their captain Thad Castle containing team secrets that they have to keep on them at all times. Alex loses his notebook after a little nutso-butso crazy night with a sexy MILF lady, and it's found by his friend Sammy, who uses it to blackmail the mascot out of his position, taking it for himself and ending up caught up in the hazing along with Alex and Shiloh. Now, I have seen this episode so many times, but this is the first time I've really looked at it with a critical eye. And man, you can really tell this is Spike TV's first foray into scripted television, because the editing in the first scene is so disorienting. It improves as the season progresses, but man, it starts off rough. And speaking of rough, Alex. Good grief, this proto-Marvel Johnny Depp wannabe. Every time he makes his smarmy little faces in this episode, I just want to fucking strangle him. And yeah, I mentioned his goofy faces and shit, but the problem isn't that. It's the writing. I know it's the first episode, so they have to explain to my ass, who already knows the program, who everyone is and why everyone is and whatnot, but all this character exposition feels so forced and way overstays its welcome.
Come on, he's not even the starting quarterback! I'm the backup quarterback, okay?
Yeah, if you're not the starting quarterback, what other kind of quarterback would you be? You don't gotta double down like that, especially when it's the whole premise of the show. The theme song, though, that shit rules from the jump. They nailed that. Never changes, and that's a good call. And I was singing his praises earlier, but man, Coach really shines here. You can tell they made the right call casting him from the jump. And the slow burn on Thad's madness is pretty nice. Like, going in, I know, but for most of this episode, he just seems a little over-enthusiastic and unknowingly homoerotic, which makes the surprise at the end hit pretty hard. And of course, where do you go from there? He can only escalate. So maybe the slow burn could have been a bit slower, but they didn't know they had to get 3 seasons of crazy out of Thad, so in a vacuum, as one episode, the slow burn and subsequent payoff worked pretty well. Shiloh, who's the straight man, is, by design to be fair, boring as hell. And yeah, his girlfriend Denise is annoying, woman nag, and borderline abusive as the season goes on, to be honest, but why is Shiloh just lying to her face about drinking? In the very first episode, he's got a cup in his hand. That kind of thing really doesn't do us any favors when it comes to feeling bad for this guy. He's hammered halfway through a game of Pong. His dishonesty comes into play in the second episode, though, with a stripper actually calling him out on it. But of course that's shot down right away by too cool for school and smarter than women Alex, but we'll get to that episode. The football scenes are done well, maybe the best part of this episode. Makes sense with the production team's illustrious sports film resume. Plus, being on the field with these players really gets into the actual meat of the series, which is the motivation behind and execution of being a backup quarterback. My notes just say piss play representation. I don't even have a joke for that. It just says piss play representation. Denise is leaving for the weekend, making Shiloh wear her grandfather's promise ring while she's gone. To celebrate, Alex takes Craig to a strip club, and the name of the episode ensues. A silly little title, good hook for a second episode now that we know who Craig is and how something like that would fuck him up. And that guitar bit is the first Sammy bit that really works. Pays off pretty well. The plot of Alex trying to get with Thad's Bosnian half-sister really lets our boy get into full Thad mode for the first time. And we also get our very first Thad Castle mojito.
3 mojitos, por favor.
Look at all these women, they're so 2010s hot. How much of Spike TV content was just gooner bait for teenagers lucky enough to have a TV in their own bedroom? Too personal of a story? I was a girls next door kind of fella myself. And speaking of nasty, Sammy is celebrated for being a sexual predator. Neat. I am buckled up for a lot of that. The A story of Shiloh losing his ring and the B story of Alex trying to get with Thad's sister don't really collide in a meaningful way. Except for, I guess, when we see her dancing near the end of the episode. But you know, that's what this show is. That's plot for you. And I guess there is the actual literal shit at the end of the episode. The one Thad takes in Alex's dorm room to get back at him for turning his sister into a stripper. That's plot for. The big twist in this episode is when Sammy's strip club cunnilingus causes him to digest the ring. And when he goes to rob Shiloh's apartment to cover up the missing ring, he decides to poop on the star running back's coffee table, as one does. Needless to say, Shiloh gets his ring back, but wow, guy puts on poop ring cause a mean girlfriend is really the punchline to 20 minutes worth of television. I know I said I wouldn't be ranking them, but this is worse than the first episode, for sure. The Goats lose big, so Coach Marty puts a curfew on the team. But that curfew doesn't matter to Thad, who has ways of keeping himself entertained. Until Sammy steals that little form of entertainment. It's a pocket pussy. I'm talking about a pocket pussy. One of the most iconic and memorable Thad monologues is almost ruined by dumbass Jack Sparrow and his dumbass smarmy little faces. It's infuriating. Like you really gotta cartoonishly think over the 14th gay thing Thad said this conversation? Does it blow your mind that much, Alex?
Every time I sink my humongous dick in this piece of plastic, I remember my dad.
But despite all that, I remember this monologue being quoted all the time when I was in college. Specifically the lines about Bosnia.
You ever been to Bosnia? You ever been in this shit?
Road dome from a hot chick, free money? Is this supposed to make me like Alex? I guess when you're a kid, there's like that, even if it's subconscious, ooh, that's gonna be me possibility. But as an old ass man, the other half of Spike's target market might I add, this guy is annoying. And the whole world falling into his lap, literally, is also annoying. I understand he gets all this at the start of the episode so we can see the fall from grace once the team starts an STD outbreak, but that doesn't make it any less infuriating while it's happening.
The worst birthday present was he gave me that dead hamster.
Alex, look at me. That hamster deserved to die.
Funniest joke yet right there. I cackled. But then he goes and gives a woman an STD via her sex toy in order to blackmail her into a second date with Alex, so that smile didn't last long. It's the big rivalry game for BMS, which means Sammy and Blue Mountain State's actual real-life goat mascot, Billy, are kidnapped by the Overland University cheer squad. The usual starting quarterback, Funny Arrow Man, gets busted with some ladies of the night, which puts Moran as the starter for the week. And Alex actually nervous to start, selling something that's happening to him for once instead of being above it all, is endearing. And the first joke he makes after that,
I just wanted a blowjob, Moran. That doesn't make me a bad Christian, right?
I don't think so, no.
made me laugh. Hopefully that keeps up. But all of a sudden, then things turn into this. They just straight up drop the big T twice at the end of the episode, so I know there's no real arguing there. But even leading up to that, when Stacy's first introduced, there's a heavy undertone of transphobia with the dialogue. It's worth pointing out that subtext isn't really a strong suit of this program, so maybe it was my greasy liberal brain reading into things too much. But while they don't outright mock Stacy for her gender in that scene, there is this early 2010s element of LOL, man is woman, ain't that funny, that's looming over Stacy from the second she's introduced. And you really can't deny that. And then Alex sneaks this in there.
We'll call her a chick.
There's gonna be something every episode that gives me the yuck. I've accepted that. I'm surprised it took transphobia this long to show up. I mean, we've already doubled and tripled down on the homophobia. Can trans people have nothing? And I'm not saying transphobia doesn't belong in media. Actual articles have been written and printed praising me for my own portrayal of a transphobic villain. Like any other kind of bigotry, there's a place for it to be represented in fiction. These are mindsets that do exist in the real world. It should be reflected on and thought about. Not considered like they're right, but considered because they're wrong. You interrupted me mid-recording, so what are your thoughts on the rivalry weekend episode of Blue Mountain State?
That's one of my favorite episodes, because that and the QB from the other team become like best friends.
You're thinking of Blackout from season 3.
Oh, this is Blackout.
Yeah, this is season 1. This is the one where they kidnap Sammy and Sammy ends up killing the fucking goat.
Yeah, he accidentally like hangs the goat, but nobody cares. Sammy got kidnapped.
They're like, you can leave whenever you want.
Yeah. Yeah, it was alright. I like the Blackout episode better.
Yeah, it's also the episode where the trans woman wants to give Shiloh head, so...
Oh, so this is an interesting one, that's right.
Yeah, it's gonna be fucking exhausting.
But that's my boy, what's his name? What's his name? He was in Friday the 13th.
He's in Scooby-Doo, too, right?
Scooby-Doo, yeah. He's trying to kill the chicken.
But that chicken's not alive.
I know the chicken is not alive, smart little girl. What, you figured it out when you saw it didn't have a head?
Even within this episode, Denise's little transphobic dig mid-argument makes sense coming from a character that we were never supposed to like. But as far as the rest of the stuff I mentioned, yeah, something, punching down, different time. And by the way, like I said, I was expecting all this, and I'm expecting more. So if you'll want to complain about me complaining, leave a salty comment. I will argue with you. Go Goats. That was exhausting. I need to call for backup.
Hi, I'm Ivy Platinum. I've been told to introduce myself as a hot cosplay babe. I've also been told to review Blue Mountain State Season 1, Episode 5, which I'd never seen before until, recently. Let's take a look.
So all of my technology has basically failed me, especially Plex. Let's see the episode list. I was trying to recall because when I saw this episode, Season 1, Episode 5, as requested, I had watched Season 1, Episodes 1, 2, 3, 4. Because I was like, if there's any sort of character building, that kind of thing, I want to know what's going on. So I used Plex, and I watched several episodes, all in the wrong order. They were all very good episodes. First episode was the hazing episode, as it should be. Episode 2 was Rivalry Weekend. Episode 3 was a Golden Arm. Episode 4 was Pocket Pussy, and Episode 5, what I thought was Episode 5, was LAX. So then when I rewatched this one, I was just kind of like, this is kind of like a filler episode or a character building. I don't know what's going on. Turns out that I just watched a bunch of really good episodes consecutively, so I can't really give a proper review on Season 1, Episode 5, because I didn't watch the actual episodes in order like I thought I was, which sucks. But my take on it was, I thought it was funny, I liked it, trying to figure out where Alex is, because he doesn't want to be third string, but he also doesn't want to be the center of attention. He can't handle it and gets kind of sick and queasy, and I'm like, same, doesn't want to be third string. I'm like, you're same. So yeah, that episode was enjoyable, but now I'm just like, I'm all messed up now. I gotta figure out what I'm doing with my life, I guess. I don't know. I tried, okay? I tried.
This has got the most likable Sammy plot yet. The relationship with the cheerleaders is cute, and it's a funny twist on the whole cheerleader dates the football player trope. And I really like how that B plot ends up solving the A plot, something we'll see isn't always the case with Sammy's storylines. Plus this...
And what happened to your bro down tonight?
No call.
That's a good shot. But overall, for the first episode to really get into Alex being the backup, you know, the whole point of the show, episode kind of fell flat. Sam Jones acting in the scene where he catches Denise cheating, rough.
How does it feel knowing you played the worst character on Blue Mountain State?
And story-wise, I wish there were more internal forces pushing Alex to want to get his job back instead of just the kicker being grading. Which, don't get me wrong, he's grading. The little hillbilly accent's cute, but this guy's just a pervert. Hey, why you looking at me like that? I remember this being an absolute favorite of the boys in college, particularly the no teams, one team bit. I feel like we used to quote that all the time. After coming off 2 losses in a row, Thad demands a mandatory team building exercise, a lock-in where everybody does drugs. The coaches do a similar exercise that night, but with liquor. During the Drug Olympics, it's revealed the whole thing is a ruse to get Shiloh to bang the, Team MILF? Is that her official title? As one of those weird, ritualistic, luck-based college football traditions. Oftentimes, the early season 1 jokes strike out completely. But sometimes, just sometimes, they hit dingers. But when they do, it's way too often that they just drive that joke into the ground. Not in an ironic Family Guy way, in a, no, we're just gonna do the same thing again because it worked the first time kind of way. But yeah, not much happens in this episode. Sammy befriends a girl with no arms. They, do drugs. That's about it. Pretty forgettable episode. I don't know why we liked it so much as kids. Probably just like the concept of the Drug Olympics, right? We thought that was pretty rock and roll. Pretty solid swerve at the end, though, with Denise being in on the get Craig laid so the goats could win scheme. I like that turn. Denise is fun. The nation's top high school recruits are coming to visit BMS, including this what Todd Marinovich was supposed to be type quarterback prospect with the nickname Golden Arm. Alex knows if he can get the kid to commit, he'll be second string until he graduates. But much like the real Marinovich, that rock and roll lifestyle catches up with Golden Arm and he just can't keep up with Alex and the gang.
Hold on! Move out! Hey! Oh!
That's another weird freak injury to another quarterback. I know this series was weekly, wasn't really made in an era where streaming was the primary way people watch television, wasn't made to be binged. But that's the second time that's happened and we're barely halfway through season 1. Also, apparently this is the guy from the Hannah Montana movie? Wow. Isn't that interesting? I have nothing to say about this episode. The Marinovich comparison is truly the most interesting thing I could fathom with this bad boy. Should I explain who that is? The former Raider who was trained from birth by his nutso-butso dad to be this perfect quarterback? The fucking 4th USC quarterback I've brought up? Should I explain that? No, I won't explain that. But I might as well, because good golly gosh, even Thad hates the dialogue here.
Oh my god, I feel like I'm talking to a wall right now.
I do love him in this scene, though. Denise is kind of inconsistent in this episode, huh? Going from dancing with Shiloh's high school rival to being worried he'll win her in a foot race. Or maybe she's just upset because she's an actual person being wagered in a bet. Maybe that's her issue. Who knows? Oh, and Sammy spends the whole 22 minutes jerking off. Literally, 2 forgettable episodes in a row here. But that also kind of means 2 episodes in a row that aren't terrible. And smoking a joint held by a mannequin arm is a funny bit. I also like how they showed off Thad's gun, mentioned Thad's gun, and then he just hits him with a car. That is a pretty funny subversion on the whole Chekhov deal. Am I giving them too much credit for that?
You need to check this girl's ID.
I can't! She doesn't take a driver's license test until Monday!
Scumbag Sammy, at it again, folks. On a more positive note, this episode and the last couple have really seemed to take more risks with the cinematography, outside of just the football stuff. So for my ADHD weed brain, shit's getting a little more interesting. As far as the plot, Alex gets beat up by some lax guys for trying to sleep with Barbara, or whatever her name is, igniting a long, dormant war between the humans and the monsters. I mean the football and lacrosse teams. Which leads to one of my favorite bits yet.
Those assholes built a mirror maze. I've been lost inside here for hours. Dad! Where are you? I'm lost in the mirror maze! Damn it, Larry!
Followed up with one of the biggest stretches in television history.
Oh my God. Is that the cougar?
That's the cougar? I can't draw or paint or nothing at all, but how the hell do you know who that's supposed to be? At all. She looks like that one weirdo freak from the Goonies.
Yeah, that's me.
How? Fucking how can you even tell? The stakes continue to escalate until they eventually have to use Sammy's new girlfriend as motivation to call the truce. The book her and Sammy are reading together, turning into a framing device and foreshadowing the bad turn in the relationship, was pretty well done though. 1/8 of a thumbs up for that. But of course, they have to point it out directly a few minutes later. Tell, don't show. That's what I always say. Well, tell after you show, I guess, would be applicable here. You know what I mean. Thad, Alex, and 3 of the Silly Funny Guy team members are failing their classes, which means they're ineligible to play, while Sex Pest Sammy tries to figure out why women aren't attracted to him.
I'm taking a poll to find out what part of the man women find the most sexy. Dick, the balls, or the asshole?
Alex goes on to make a deal with his world lit professor. He'll keep the professor's mom occupied so he can sleep with his students. You know, normal college stuff. And Alex taking out the old lady, played by acting legend and forever babe Cloris Leachman, goes exactly how you'd expect. Alex getting laid? What? No way. I'm shocked. That's how Nelly thinks I act, just because my body count's more than fucking 4. That same technique to pass the class is used by Thad, Donnie, and Larry, escalating until Alex has to blackmail the professor via his horny old mom to get a passing grade at all. And of course, you know they had to make Harmon, the team's kicker, a real nasty pervert about it all.
What the hell are you doing with my mother?
Getting a C?
Sammy, trying to make himself more desirable, cuts himself shaving. Cuts himself bad, apparently, to the point that if he gets into the bone zone, he'll pop his stitches, which happens again and again. It's funny the first time, very funny in fact. The hard cut to him back at the doctor after a big group hug from the cheerleaders. Funny bit. But of course they have to do it again. Going back to the well until it's bone dry. No pun intended.
Are you at least having sex with these girls?
No.
Also, fun fact, apparently the sex tape scene was supposed to be just Thad and the professor's mom. Because of course it was. Gotta stick the 2 icons together. Plus, it's just a funny visual. But that day, Alan Richardson suffered a severe allergic reaction and had to be rushed to the ER. You know, I've pulled worse excuses in my life. Marathon Monday has arrived at BMS, which means the whole campus, especially Alex and Sammy, are drinking from sunup to sundown. Just like me during this fucking recording. And when Craig confirms for sure, no doubt, 0% chance for error that Denise is cheating on him, he finally leaves her. I gotta say, compared to the last scene where he finds her cheating, Sam Jones really took his acting up a notch here. Not sure if it was because he could actually commit to being mad and figuring things out this time, but head and shoulders better than the cheating scene earlier in the season. Them breaking up means Craig's all in on Marathon Monday, rocking and rolling till he eventually gets his sex taped Not in a drag queen kind of way, more of what at the time would most likely be referred to as a Kim K kind of way. Meanwhile, Alex finally meets his cool guy match when he falls for a cool girl that he's been hooking up with. The two bond over being little whores and manipulators and all that fun stuff, but Alex seems to fall a little too hard, getting kind of possessive when she tries to sleep with Thad. But then they talk it out, in a way that's much too mature for college kids at a party. But she bangs Thad, he bangs everyone else, everyone's happy. Kinda. Finally, a look into Alex's psyche. Something to negate that smarmy better than this whole thing type attitude. And maybe that's by design. Us rooting for Alex to care about anything at all, just like the people around him are. But it's hard for me to shake the feeling that I'm supposed to just straight up enjoy how aloof and above it all Alex is. But who knows? Could be a little bit of both. I got a lot of time for the sweet little ending of this episode too. Made me actually reflect on spending time with my friends getting shit-faced in college. And I know you can't pack this series with heart or even put too much in it at all. Spike TV, you know? But just a little more of this kind of thing would be nice. Solid episode. Probably the best yet. After Thad makes a great play at practice, Alex refuses to slap his ass, causing serious tension between the two players, which I know from the outside looking in doesn't make sense at all. I mean, why would this sick son of a bitch refuse to slap a good, hard-working man's ass, especially after a play like that? Man, Thad is coming into his own here, and that makes this television program so much more watchable.
See, the thing is, moron, it's not even about slapping asses. It's about being a good teammate. When I make a great play, I expect to be acknowledged.
Alex, on the other hand, is back in hot water again, which is nice. Main character in peril? Making a plot engaging? Who knew? You see, a BMS superfan, who Nelburn told me was one of the nerds from Revenge of the Nerds, convinces Alex to start dating his daughter, but is way too close to the relationship himself. I think any show's concept, or any piece of media's concept really, their gimmick, their whole deal, I think it really shines when we're seeing events that could only play out under those circumstances. Take, for instance, Undertale. No, don't go, please. I have a point here. The whole concept of killing makes you stronger, but why kill when everyone's so sweet and nice only works in an Earthbound-esque RPG. Wouldn't really work in a first-person shooter, would it? The concept of a man wanting this college kid to date his daughter, not just date his daughter, but straight up bang, while he waits outside in his truck, outside of some odd little websites I'm sure, that kind of dynamic can only exist in something that's about star athletes. Might work with any celebrity, but this is taking advantage of the setting to affect the characters and put them in unique situations. That's what you want out of any story. Anyways, once Alex tries to break it off with her, the father, Ronnie, sneaks into Alex's room to steal a used rubber straight off his wiener, which obviously Alex has to steal back. And he does, thanks to Thad and this little Silence of the Lambs bit. After which Thad finally gets that well-deserved slap on the booty butt.
Give me that condom!
Oh, and Craig gets back with Denise. But then he dips out the bathroom window. Another well-acted scene by them. These two are really developing some chemistry.
Hi, Killian requested that I introduce myself at the beginning of this video, which I forgot to do. How could you simply not know me? Famous Blue Mountain State expert and scholar, DJ Peach Cobbler. I've done things outside of my expertise in Blue Mountain State.
Beyonce makes music for gays to do poppers and fuck each other to.
But these are, of course, not my life's work. I'm devoted to Blue Mountain State, and I hope that I can share my knowledge on this incredible show with you today. Subscribe to Killian.
So, hello, Killian. You may be surprised I'm including this gentleman. This is Wolf. We played football together and we watched this fucking show together constantly. Blue Mountain State is Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas by way of a Bud Light advertisement. It is the second circle of hell and it smells like Axe body spray. I would not trust this show unattended around my drink. So those are the best bits I got. So what are your thoughts on Blue Mountain State?
This is what everyone thought college was going to be in like the early 10s, right? And it kind of was.
If you're 14.
Yeah, if you're 14, yeah, and it kind of was.
Yeah,
but
I can't say I had to join the Air Force.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Yeah, did you have to do oil
More
changes?
ball smell.
Did you ever do an oil change in the Air Force?
I mean, yeah, you do them for officers, but it's like an additional duty. But like you get coined sometimes if you do that, so it's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
We're actually starting a Blue Mountain State themed podcast called Yeehaw Gaming, and now I'm promoting it on your fucking video because I'm a ghoul. I'm a ghoul. I'm an influencer. Give me money. So first of all, let's actually discuss Blue Mountain State. So first of all,
okay.
This is something I've talked to you about, and Killian, I cannot wait to see what you say about this. The guy that plays Alex, right, the second string quarterback, that's a producer's son or something, right? Or like a writer or something. I'm not like trying to act like I'm Mr. Stud over here, but he's just sort of this like slump-shouldered, normal-looking dude who doesn't seem particularly charming. Like every scene he's in with Thad Castle, he gets fucking destroyed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Thad Castle is so much more talented than that fucking show. It's crazy.
Alex's character is just a foil for Thad's bullshit.
Yeah, he's honestly. Like, he's not a straight, if he was a straight man, I'd get it. But he's not the straight man. He's supposed to be like this also cool, like he fucks a girl in every scene. Well, they all do. But he doesn't is he like a Nepo baby or something? I don't know. I just want you to answer that, Killian.
I mean, I just think it's Scrubs. It's just Scrubs for teenagers. That's literally all it is, man. Like, the dynamic is similar, but there's no, like, weird, emotional, heartfelt moments. There's none of that.
There's no actual feelings.
There's no real feelings.
You never have an emotion when you watch Blue Mountain State. Like, I know Scrubs could get, like, schmaltzy and too much, but I would not say it's a flaw when comparing it to Blue Mountain State. Like, that's sort of the thing. It's just sort of like,
Say the line, Bart!
I like Doom Eternal, right? And it's for 14-year-olds. Like, it's all aesthetically, it's for 14-year-olds.
It's fucking awesome.
But it's like, it doesn't feel like it's made by 14-year-olds. Blue Mountain State feels like it was made by 14-year-olds. Hold on, do I have something else? Oh, the jokes aren't bad. The problem is the show tells them like 18 times. Like the mascot thing, right?
Oh yeah, that's just a reoccurring thing.
It's like, literally just over and over they made that joke, though.
One episode of this show is the same as every other episode. They're all the same episode. They're the same plot over and over. The same characters doing the same thing. There is no evolution to this show. It's like a viewpoint into hell, and you're just kind of watching them all just be vile to each other, like Sunny.
And it smells like Axe body spray.
It smells like Axe body spray and piss. God, jeez.
Man,
I love this show.
I do not.
You don't love it.
I said it's like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas by way of a Bud Light commercial. No, I don't like it.
How do you not like it?
It has a childish charm, doesn't it? Thad is genuinely the best fucking character. Like, he's so funny. Obviously, it's now demonstrated, apparently, that he's, like, more talented than the show, because he actually is, like, bigger now than he was during this shit.
He's just physically larger.
Oh, yeah, that's for fucking sure.
Reputation, of course, but he's just physically big.
What is the name? Alan Richson? I don't know, but he's the size of a fucking barn now.
Yeah.
Whereas he was simply like a small family car in this show.
Yeah.
That is one thing we can say, right? It objectifies everybody.
It literally objectifies.
It will objectify everybody.
Everyone.
Yeah.
And what else is there to say about Blue Mountain State?
I ran out of Axe body spray jokes already. Oh wait, he wanted me to describe the fucking episode. I'm so sorry. I'll describe the episode. So Oil Change is an episode in which there is a drug test coming, and the coach, who is like every character except for Alex, impeccably cast, the coach is like, hey, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, there's gonna be a drug test. So they all try to solve this problem, because they're all fucking, it's Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. They're all doing drugs all the time, and that's the whole point. And
Killian, I'm so sorry. I forgot to explain what an oil change is. So an oil change is when you fill your empty bladder with clean urine, so that when you dispense that urine out of your bladder later, you will pass whatever drug test. Yes.
Thad, Alan Richson, Mr. Barnman. So you know how I said it'll just repeat the same joke over and over?
Yeah.
In this one case, it was incredible because he can just sell it. That joke he just wants everyone to get an oil change so fucking badly. And it's like, is this a sexual thing? Is it a power thing? Is it just something that he thinks it's the only way they can all avoid the drug test? Like, I don't know, but he wants it so badly. It's so funny.
It's the way he approaches it, like a cheerful boy, like a schoolboy. They literally go to school children at one point.
The boyish affection that shows for shoving PVC piping, rubber tubing up his friends' penises so he can put strangers' urine into their bladders. Like, it's something to behold. I wish I could hold that sort of childlike whimsy. I'm sorry, the B plot of the show is the guy that also I think is a producer's son that plays the mascot and is not as funny as he fucking thinks he is. He will not get fucked because he's not good looking, but he will get fucked if he wears the mascot costume. And so he will wear the mascot costume and he will fuck girls. Hilarious.
I think it's a euphemism for late stage capitalism and its true decline.
I think it's a commentary upon the ghost dance of the Sioux. Yeah, it's probably what he's gonna expect. Killian expects me to be like, so this is how this relates to Bury My Heart on Wounded Knee.
I mean, like I don't know. This is a show that has the emotional appeal of Trailer Park Boys. Are you familiar with that? It's essentially a
Trailer Park Boys is like, the bits that I've seen, there's like a uniqueness and a charm to it. I think my problem with Blue Mountain State is it feels like, well, a producer's idea of like what a 14-year-old boy wants. It feels like adults lowering themselves to the levels of teenage boys, but like there's nothing joyful. Like Doom is joyful. It's like fun. Yeah. You know, it is childish and it's boyish and like, but like Blue Mountain State is just sort of like, I sound like such a pussy, but it's just sort of gross.
You could disagree with this, but I think it's equally clever and crude, and in the middle you just have this show that it's not really that great. It doesn't really hit any mark.
The show has virtues. I think it has virtues. Yeah. I think it's the casting. Like the guy that plays the coach. I remember there was an episode about like sending dick pics. Oh, yeah. And they talked about how you got to include your wash and it's got to be like a nice wash. All this fucking. Then it's like, oh, it's being self-aware and it's like fun. I don't know. It does have bright points.
Yeah,
it
but
does.
It has a way of like taking that joke to the point of it not being funny.
Well, it's just because it's not that they take it further. They don't take it. They just repeat it. And it's like, holy shit. But at the end, they all have sex with lots of girls and do lots of drugs and everything's okay.
Oil changes!
We're rolling into the season 1 finale off of 3 decent episodes in a row here. They weren't the view from halfway down or nothing like that, but for this show, not bad. Weirdly enough, this episode isn't available on Pluto, which was how I was watching the series. But lucky for me, this shit is available on pretty much every half-ass free streaming service, so all I had to do was switch over to the Roku channel. Bowl game cold opens with the team being chased through the woods. You even hear gunshots. Honestly, a pretty solid way to make the season finale here feel different, like a big deal compared to what's come before. But at the same time, we still get cheap costumes and contrived dialogue written by a 16-year-old.
We've had enough of you, freak.
Okay, well, I had sex with all of you.
So it's the same TV program we all know and love. BMS football, despite having 3 losses on their record, makes one of the big bowl games at the end of the season. And while they're in Louisiana for that game, Alex gets a little distracted by this Erin Andrews type. And get a load of this. You're not gonna believe it, but he gets to sleep with her. Damnedest thing. In real life, these two would actually go on to get married in 2016, with them meeting while filming this episode. And they do got pretty cute chemistry, I could see it. But before he gets to sleep with her in the television program, he has to get her an interview with Craig Shiloh, who, this is gonna be a tough one, gets Kobe'd? Is that a good way to put it? I don't know if there is a good way to put it. But he ends up in the hands of the local police department, who load him full of moonshine so he's nice and hungover for the game tomorrow. Lucky for us, Thad, always the hero, always the vet, saw the setup coming from a mile away. So he beats the shit out of the cops and saves Shiloh, taking us back to the chase scene from the start of the episode. That hook at the beginning, though, is nothing compared to the swerve at the end, with Alex having to start the bowl game. But that's where it ends. We don't see the bowl game. We don't see how Alex does. We have to wait until next season to find out, which is a little unsatisfying, but not a flaw by any means. If I care like that, it means the cliffhanger worked. I can imagine going to high school the next day and us all talking about how we think Alex did in the game. But, I didn't watch this in high school. I caught it when it went to Netflix. Overall, though, this season really improved as it got into double-digit episodes. When Eric Falconer and Romansky started season 1, they didn't even know what the term show running meant, and then they had to go out there and do it, citing Varsity's Brian Robbins as a huge help in that regard. So this season was very much those two learning as they went. Like I said before, though, the editing, acting, even the writing, to an extent, Sammy became less of a deplorable shithead, all picked up when we got to like episode 9 or 10. But it didn't even take that long for Spike to renew it. They picked that sucker up for season 2 after 7 weeks, being announced in February of 2010 by The Hollywood Reporter. In fact, the success of BMS inspired the network to get behind even more sports-based comedies, including greenlighting a pilot for a golf comedy called Back 9 and premiering a show called Players. No, not that one. Now, to be perfectly honest with you, I don't remember either of those shows, but Spike was all in, with the network aiming for a 2-hour block of scripted comedies according to their president, Kevin Kay. So it's no wonder they wanted to keep Blue Mountain State rolling. But unfortunately, Sam Jones, who, like I mentioned earlier, played running back Craig Shiloh, would not be returning for season 2. The actor, also known for his role in Smallville, was arrested in a fucking federal drug sting in October of 2009, pleading guilty to being involved in an attempt to buy and sell, hopefully sell, 10,000 oxys. Imagine if you weren't selling those. Imagine if you were just getting those for yourself. That would be the fucking crime. Oh my goodness. For those of you who don't know drugs, that is a lot of drugs. Jones was sentenced to a year in prison, despite the prosecutor pushing for 5, which, of course, like I said, means he couldn't come back for the second season. At the time, there was speculation that the role might be recast, but they didn't know that the best to ever do it was about to show up, and that the character of Craig Shiloh would apparently transfer over to Georgia Tech. I mentioned in passing how the character of Shiloh was unknowingly filmed banging a couple pretty ladies after he broke up with his girlfriend, and weirdly enough, we never saw the payoff to that plot. It was never brought up again. But ironically enough, around the time of his arrest, the actor Sam Jones sued Stephen Hirsch of Vivid Entertainment for attempting to sell his sex tape with then-girlfriend Carissa Shannon. But that didn't work, cause I definitely found it. And man, let me tell you, my boy didn't even get billing in most of these titles. Come on, he's hot, he's a celebrity, and he's doing at least half the work.
World's up, man.
Man, that Sam Jones iceberg really goes deep, huh? And apparently so does his fucking cop. Gabrielle Dennis, who played Denise, also left the show, most likely because the character she was entirely tied to on screen was now gone. There were some additions to the team, though, with the show's staff adding Chris Brown. Again, no, not that one, to help produce the show going into season 2. Brown was one of the minds behind some legendary MTV shows like Beavis and Butthead, so overall a pretty solid pickup. The cast itself also added some new faces, one of which was Sammy's sister Mary Jo, who was portrayed by Frankie Shaw. Shaw immediately gets a chance to shine too, really being one of the main focuses of. Sammy's sister wants to be a cheerleader, and after making it through all the hazing of Hell Week, she finds out that she has to sleep with the mascot to make the squad, who's of course her brother. And after starting to call their bluff, she quickly makes the team. And as far as that story goes, it's alright. A little rough here and there. Incest angle is pretty hard to watch. But overall, a pretty fitting way to introduce Mary Jo to this absolute cavalcade of freakazoid weirdos. But most importantly, the unidentified black male Radon Randell is here. There goes my hero. Watch him as he goes. There goes my hero. Watch him blow his nose. Radon was actually introduced to audiences before the season kicked off, via a trilogy of online recruitment videos centering around him and Coach Daniels. But those pale in comparison to his series debut. Now, before I break down the A-plot of this episode, let me explain to you why this random side character from an early 2010s guy slop sitcom resonates so hard with me. Not only does he have some of the funniest bits in the entire show.
What are you doing? I'm drinking. I'm about to jump over this cat.
And not only is he a stellar and much-needed foil for both Alex and Thad, matching the latter's star power, quotability, and overall insanity.
Fine, peace out, homie. Peace out, you too, homie.
But I am really partial to the diva athlete trope. I don't know why. Radon, played by Detroit rapper and star of Leprechaun 2 Back to the Hood, Paige Kennedy, is there for the starting quarterback position. And after Alex is tasked with being his personal fixer, the typically lazy backup decides earning the position back after a apparent shit show in the cliffhanger bowl game last season is actually easier than babysitting the fresh out of Rikers Randall. And man, a little more heat on Alex, a little bit of stakes to make our boys sweat, you really love to see it. Like I said, one of the many things that makes Radon a great addition to this show. These stories are at their best when there's a little pressure on the quarterback. Despite some back and forth between the QBs, Thad, and Coach Daniels, Radon eventually shoots Alex in the foot during an old-timey duel. Of course, being a reference to the 2012 Redskins quarterback controversy, when Kirk Cousins and RG3 squared off at high noon down past the Potomac River. I'm joking. That famous duel wouldn't happen for another 3 years.
Hello, my name is Angelo, and welcome to an episode of What the Hell Did I Just Watch, featuring a show called Blue Mountain State that I've never seen before in my life. I don't think I've ever heard of this show before. I'm still kind of gagged because I'm just like, what the fuck? Okay, so, oh my god, that was like so funny, but like it was funny and like what the hell did I just watch kind of funny. It stars that really hot guy, Alan Richardson, really hot actor. He's been fine all his life. Because this came out, like 2010? And I didn't learn who he was until, wait, wasn't he on American Idol too? Am I crazy? Anyway, I actually remember him from Titans because I was one of the 5 people that actually watched that show. So the episode centers around Alan Richardson's fine ass getting a finger stuck up his ass. And now he has to figure out who it was that stuck their finger up his ass. And it was very funny. You know, it was an interrogation and, you know, going through the story from different point of views and stuff. And I knew it wasn't the homeless guy because that would just be too easy. I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was the mascot. I thought it was gonna be this big moment. The mascot sticks the finger up the homeless guy's ass, and now everybody goes, oh no, it was you. But like, why would he do that? What was the motive? But it being Larry, right? That was his name, the black guy. I mean, it kind of was giving it away. I thought the funniest part though was at the end where they're watching the video because the homeless guy gets exposed for like taking videos of cheer practice because he was, you know, a creep. They're rewatching the videos, and I can't remember his name. It was the first guy that Alan Richardson's fine ass interrogated, and he was like, oh wait, let me go back, and presses the remote, and all of a sudden all the stories are going back in his brain, and he's like, what did I just watch? I thought it was great. I thought it was funny. Definitely like the time, 2010. Definitely like a 2010, 2011 ass show. Like, this is something that I have friends now that I'm sure watched that show and enjoyed that. But yeah, those are my thoughts. I thought it was great. I'm still kind of like, what the fuck did I just watch? Can I cuss? It was funny though. And Alan Richardson is attractive. So like, yeah, who doesn't want to watch a fine ass white boy, just like do stuff? So, granted, he's a little skinnier back there. He didn't like he wasn't tight. Why am I talking about this? Regardless, I thought it was funny. I don't know if this is a show that I would go back and watch, but I found some of the humor to be a little cringe. But it was funny in the, oh, this is cute. Like, I can turn my brain off and just go, what the fuck am I watching? So, yeah. It was fun, though. It was funny. It was fun.
And I liked it too. This episode is an absolute blast. I gave Angelo such a good one to check out. We get a Bill Romanowski appearance this time. That combined with the Bill Parcells cameo last episode, you can really tell this program is making some waves. And with them doing silly little formats like this, I can see why. Like Angelo said, it's the TV trope where they tell the story from a bunch of different points of view to slowly paint the full picture of some controversial event, all complete with the big swerve at the end that you didn't see coming but was still foreshadowed the whole time. Apparently this is based on 1995's The Usual Suspects. But
if I haven't seen it, it's new to me.
The whodunit format is such a good time, and honestly, I loved seeing this cast do it. Am I becoming invested in the fellas at Blue Mountain State? I think I might fucking be. Born Again is one of two back-to-back episodes directed by Fred Savage, former star of The Wonder Years and director of at least one or two episodes from every friggin' TV show ever, from It's Always Sunny to Drake and Josh. This is also the first appearance from former Bond girl and hot babe of Starship Troopers, Denise Richards, as Coach Daniel's ex-wife, Deborah. If I recall correctly, once she became part of the show, she was all over the promotional material, front and center in her little cheer outfit for almost every single promo shot at the time. I didn't really have any context on who she was when I was originally watching the show, but I had heard her name before, and she was featured on the Netflix art like she was the backup quarterback, so I knew at the very least her being on the show was a pretty big deal. In this episode specifically, though, she pops back up in Coach Daniel's life with her new husband, the Dean of BMS. And the two try to whip BMS's image back into shape, with apparently more than half the team boasting an arrest record. Meanwhile, Radon is pursuing Mary Jo, who keeps telling Alex she wants him over and over and over. But Alex doesn't want to hook up with his best friend's sister, which makes sense, right? He's shown he's not ready for a relationship, so why complicate things with someone as close to him as Mary Jo? But that doesn't mean she can't sleep around, something Alex is clearly shown to be jealous of. Pretty solid catch-22 for our main characters, pretty reasonable on both ends. And we get another football legend with a guest appearance, Brian Bosworth this time, who is so fitting for Thad to meet in his dream. The Boz tells Thad he can't get nasty at all if he wants to go in the top 3 of the upcoming NFL draft, which leads to Oksana, that's the Bosnian double P I mentioned earlier, being burned in a fire. Keep your Craig Shilohs and your bowl games. This is the saddest moment of the series.
Goodbye, Oksana.
The three plots collide when Thad's celibacy and Radon's newfound celibacy, brought on by some good old-fashioned Moran manipulation, inspires Coach Daniels to pronounce the entire team celibate. And all that pin-up testosterone causes the GOAT's charity game against a church to devolve into absolute chaos. Overall, there is a lot going on here, but it all comes together in a very organic way. I did notice that the editing seemingly regressed a little, but top to bottom, not a bad episode of television at all. This show's really in a rhythm now, even with all the changes to the cast. Like I said, all very organic, feels very natural. I also noticed Sammy's barely in this episode, a character whose plot typically feels the most forced when colliding with the rest of the episode. Not saying it's a direct correlation, but definitely something to think about. In another episode directed by Fred Savage here, Coach Daniels starts feeling the pressure from one of the team's boosters to let their scrub-ass, no-talent son actually dress for a game this season. Even though the kid's a pretty blatant Rudy parody who spent his whole college career on the practice squad, which I didn't know existed. I haven't seen a practice squad at any of the practices.
Rick, sir? Thank you, Your Majesty.
Thad here, along with Radon, starts wheeling and dealing with agents behind the NCAA's back via Alex and Sammy, the latter of which really lets the power go to his head, which of course comes back to bite the team when the aforementioned booster and his scrub-ass no-talent son threaten to go to the media about the whole shindig. That is, if the kid doesn't get to dress for the upcoming game. The day is saved by more brilliant Moran manipulation when he decides to pin the whole scandal on the scrub-ass no-talent son of a booster. What a way to bring these plots together. Big smile on my face as this one wrapped up. We are really getting into the golden age of this television program at this point. And I know I poo-pooed the editing last episode, but I really like some of the cinematography here. And I like the music in this one too, which I haven't really touched on, but has been kind of hit or miss throughout the series. The song that plays during the big bust scene though? No, not that big bust. Yeah, that one. That song fits so well. We also get the theme song playing diegetically in this episode when Sammy turns the goat house into a Rev Theory music video, complete with new metal camera work. And what an ending on this one. You know I love a cute Alex and Sammy moment, and them getting to keep the nice car after we see just a subtle glimpse of Alex's shitty car earlier in the episode. Very well done. This, honestly, might be my favorite episode yet. Takes the crown from Marathon Monday, which again featured a sweet little ending. I'm telling you, just enough heart can really do the trick in this TV show. Some lady calls the Goat House phone, their equivalent of the Smiling Friends alarm, I guess, and says she's pregnant. So we got another whodunit here, but this time with coming in a lady. Turns out it's the cougar making her big return, with Marty actually being the dad. But before that, we get the red herring that it might be Alex's kid. Now, I knew this was supposed to be somebody important because of the sentimental backing track they stuck behind this sucker.
Met a guy in New York, and we're in love.
Oh, you're in love, huh? What's that like?
It's pretty fun, actually.
It's good.
But I didn't realize who the first time I watched it. But then I finally noticed on a rewatch that Alex does refer to her as Jill, which is the name of the girl he really falls for in Marathon Monday. I thought that's who that was at first, but I wasn't 100% sure. Definitely the best candidate to bring back for something like this, especially considering that little clip of Alex saying her baby bump and passing out was all over the trailers for the season. On a less exciting note, Sammy's back in full creep mode, showing off pictures of the cheer team in the showers, including his sister. He's also got a brand new abusive alcoholic girlfriend, while Coach Marty tries to reconnect with his gay bartender son. I just say gay and the lips come out. The lisp, Freudian. What is wrong with me? Suck it. Wow, we sure do have some interesting side plots here. Once they were both introduced, I was gritting my teeth for the subtlety we found in season 1, or lack thereof. And to be frank, the abuse is very cartoonish, as well as Sammy's reaction to it. But like all the uncomfortable shit in season 1, I wasn't holding my breath for this show to be anything but that. The gay stuff though, honestly, they did a better job with that. More leaning into how uncomfortable Coach Daniels is than how uncomfortable we should be. So 50-50 really. In the end, Sammy's sister goes to beat up the girl, but beats up Sammy instead because of the cheerleader nudes I mentioned earlier. It's more incest. They love it. Is that a word I'm allowed to say on YouTube? I feel like it's scientific enough that I can get away with it. But either way, there's a lot of it this season.
Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty.
Rick and Morty. And also, Coach doesn't really connect with his son like he was hoping. After it becomes clear he only came back into his life for his father's money. Disappointing endings to both plots in a way, but I kinda like them. A cartoony ending for the cartoony subplot, and something much more real feeling for the plot that was handled with actual nuance and subtlety. We're not supposed to side with Coach being creeped out by his son being a homo, but we're also not supposed to side with the money-grubbing homo son. They do try to make Marty out to be the good guy with this little beat, though.
Because I don't care if you wrap your dick in rainbow fruit roll-ups and watch Wizard of Oz 10 times a day.
Is that what gay people do, Coach? Especially the Wizard of Oz thing. What the fuck is he talking about? I have no clue where that came from. Is it the rainbow? He's got to be talking about the rainbow, right? But coming from a series like this, I'll take the layers they tried to give me with this episode. I could do a whole video essay on how trivialized women committing domestic violence is in media and how that affects perspective in real life. Trust me, 10 minutes of that alone being Miss Piggy clips. But again, I'm not expecting nuance from Blue Mountain State on Spike TV. That all being said, outside of the Jill stuff, roughest episode of the season yet by a pretty good margin. Alright, thank God that is over. This next bad boy was directed by Clay Weiner, who directed, get this, Fred the Movie. We find out Mary Jo is failing, clearly focused way more on partying than this college being an actual college, which leads the dean to show her a BMS promotional video that features a song that still gets stuck in my head all the time.
BMS, BMS, you are BMS.
On the other end of the academic spectrum, the nerds writing papers for Alex do too well, and the dean starts to take notice, calling out our boy on his bluff and forcing him to present the paper to a whole slew of nerds. That, combined with Sammy's constant mistreatment, causes the nerds to revolt, refusing to do any team's homework and being led by a sympathetic Radon.
Solidarity, brother. Solidarity.
God, I love this character so much. Sammy, even though he kicked off the whole thing by putting one of the nerds in an actual coma, eventually figures out that he's a nerd and evens everything back out with the pranks he's been weirdly obsessed with all episode. Even though King Nerd tries to call off the hit when Alex hits a little smooth talk to him during his speech, Sammy's devious little plan happens anyway, in what comes off to me as an Inglourious Bastards parody, maybe?
It's our homework.
Mary Jo, trying to help Alex figure out his presentation, greens out along with our QB2 here, and they possibly maybe bang? We don't really know. A will they won't they isn't the most original ongoing plot for a sitcom to have, but hey, something done halfway decent is better than nothing at all. Alex sleeps with someone. Oh my God, unbelievable. About time that happened, am I right? Fuck. This person though, this person happens to be Coach Daniel's ex-wife, who we've seen pop up throughout the season. I have in my notes here, show her at gay dinner. So here you go, here she is at gay dinner. This is also the episode where my hero, my king, my knight in shining armor, Radon Randell, gets his own television program. An inspirational little show called Dreams! Man, I love this storyline so much. What a treasure this young man is. But again, too much incest in this episode. The underlying vibes of the whole Sammy Mary Jo subplot is just drenched with it. And to be honest, I'm tired of talking about it.
Whoa, Hong Kong.
Also, I brought up the song from the commercial getting stuck in my head all the time, but man, this...
Breath on my breath, it leaves me breathless.
I used to sing constantly. Actually, for some reason, I thought that Hunter from The Office sang this. You know, the guy who sang...
That one night, you made everything alright.
From the dinner party episode. Best Office episode ever, by the way. Can you tell I'm hammered when I'm writing this one? I can. Sober K-Mac, looking back to drunk K-Mac, yeah, I could tell that you were hammered. And speaking of music, listen to this silly little song they play the morning after Alex and Deborah sleep together. I love that. What a fitting, goofy little number for that. And wow, hot take incoming, look out, hold up. Denise Richards is hot. Also, I don't really care because I've never seen it, but it's cool how this episode directly references Animal House, a movie that was such an inspiration for this series as a whole. Best cold open yet. Thad running, screaming through the woods, only to encounter a giant medieval tower with a dildo door handle. Going into a commercial break there, I would have not changed the channel. They'd have me hooked with the Thad scream alone. Then we flash to earlier that day when the Goats win, but didn't win by enough to satisfy Coach Daniels. Thad in particular had a rough game, continuing to weigh the options of staying at college for his senior year or going pro. When Coach hears this, we get some more Marty manipulation to try and trick Thad into staying at BMS, preying on the poor child's reoccurring daddy issues. But that's not the real meat of the episode. That comes when Thad takes the titular Vision Quest, which is basically just a big cuckoo crazy Alice in Wonderland-esque trip.
Ayahuasca.
Along with all our BMS favorites as different mythical beings, and Larry as a rapper/cult member. We also get an appearance here from Stacy Keebler, smoking hot of course, but forgets to move her arms take to take for some reason.
Mojito?
My fave!
But most exciting of all, we get the return of Oksana, which more or less turns out to be the key to unlocking the whole vision of the Vision Quest. Maybe that's a metaphor about how Thad needs to confront his own fatherly issues, the ones honed in on by the shitbag Marty Daniels, if he ever wants to be the success he knows he can be. Thad even speaks to his father at one point, who transforms into a giant evil Coach Daniels. And as far as this show goes, that's pretty deep. But at the same time, there's an element of, haha, funny pocket pussy is back.
No! His pocket pussy! The source of all his power!
What a showcase for Alan Ritchson here, especially in that final scene when he talks to himself, complete with a Disney dinosaurs-ass score swelling up in the background. I also love not finding out which future he picks on his quest. Wish that suspense had maybe lasted a little longer, but using that as a mid-season cliffhanger would have felt kind of cheap, so I get it. Overall though, what a fun episode. Apparently Eric Falconer's favorite episode to make, and I can definitely see why. Second video in a row I've done where a Badger mascot gets stolen. Weird. Anyway, it's rivalry week against those bastards at Overland again. And this time it's BMS, specifically Thad doing the animal napping, with the end goal being eating the Overland Badger's balls, as one does. Look at this shitty ass Bean Bunny looking Badger puppet. What the hell is that thing? Love that they did the little Evil Dead shot with it too. A lot of time for that. Meanwhile, Mary Jo takes over watching the actual real-life goat that Sammy killed last year.
Make a run for it. I'll meet you back at the field. Billy?
Well, it's a new goat. It's not stuffed or anything like that, but don't worry. The Overland Badger does end up killing the new goat too. Deader than shit, so yeah, I guess. Season to season continuity. Good thing. Out of the gate, we get a guest appearance this episode from Boomer Esiason, and apparently this guy is someone too, kind of like a sports talking head person, I don't know. But as we roll into Rivalry Week, Radon, disgusted by the whole animal-oriented shenanigans of the other plots, puts a ransom out on his own arm in an effort to show what'll really matter in the upcoming game. That attention leads Coach Daniels to make Radon stay with him in order to keep him safe. But the two end up partying all night after the QB1 spikes his coach's drink with E. As one does. Alex is the most likable he's ever been in this episode, playing an excellent foil to Thad and his ball-leading motivation.
We're gonna find that Badger. And you're gonna eat his balls.
Solid episode here.
Oh, fuck. Sorry. I didn't mean to cuss. That's on me. That's my bad. I popped this in. I need to be buzzing for this review because I love this episode. I love everything about it. I love the hockey aspect because it's my favorite sport. I played it growing up. I've watched it my whole life. I think most people would agree with me that this episode rules. It's got a lot of good shit with it. The only thing I don't really fuck with is the Sammy storyline. It's like kind of whatever. I love Radon with Claude. I love Alex with Auntie. I love this episode. So I figured what I could do is just see what the people say. And I figured they'd agree with me. So let's check it out. Let's look at the most featured review on IMDb. This comes from Alicior-707-8488936. Sick name. June 7, 2013. Okay, alright. Football versus hockey and PC scenes. This is gonna go well. BMS is currently my favorite Spike series. Well, Mansers was out at the time. That was a good show.
Can you fart so fart, good fart?
However, I cannot watch the hockey episode and the lacrosse episode. Alright. The reason is the following. Have you ever seen a Division I football player? Alright, I see where this is going. These are the most physical of specimens on Earth. Oh boy. And their bodies are thoroughly trained because the skills and athletic movements that they need to engage produce the widest range of muscle development of any sport. Okay. Glaze, okay? In that regard, the scene where a middle linebacker, it's all caps by the way, is intimidated by a hockey player who throws an ice skate at his head, and then the middle linebacker, Thad Castle by the way, backs down like a coward would never happen in actual life. Middle linebackers are the meanest sons of bees to walk the planet, and they stand down to nobody. This guy clearly played backup middle linebacker in high school. Can you imagine Brian Bosworth, Ray Lewis, or Dick Butkus backing down from a hockey player? Okay, alright. There's another scene where the football coach, Marty Daniels by the way, born and raised in New Jersey, as part of the character's BMS bio, is told to never fight a hockey coach. Well listen, anybody from New Jersey never backs down from a fight. This guy's clearly from New Jersey. I mean, we're just getting his life story here. Especially a football coach who likely played football at least to the college level and who very likely played high school football and wrestled. New Jersey is a top wrestling and football state, and Marty Daniels the character is from New Jersey. So this episode implies that football players are weak and have no fighting ability, which is ridiculous and falsely spreads misnomers regarding football players. Imagine telling this dude he was a pussy at the bar in New Jersey. This guy didn't love the episode. I mean, he clearly loves his wife, loves his life and his job, and does not think about the past whatsoever. I love this episode. I think it's great. That guy's a bitch.
This episode is actually the second one directed by Jay Chandrasekhar, the guy from the Broken Lizard comedy troupe who directed and starred in movies like Super Troopers and Beer Fest. When asked why he was drawn to the show, the director cited the fact that BMS was more balls out with the portrayal of college partying as compared to shows in the past with a similar setting. And yeah, he specifically used the phrase balls out in the interview. Twice. He compared the style of pure comedy with emotions kept to a certain level to Broken Lizard. High praise, but at this point it makes sense. Netflix probably recommended Beer Fest after it ran out of BMS episodes to feed you. Him mentioning the emotions of BMS actually makes a lot of sense too, considering the first episode our boy directed was the all-time classic Marathon Monday, which I keep bringing up. You can tell that's the standard for this television show. But in this episode, we get the toughest team in BMS's conference coming up in the schedule. And after Radon shows up hungover to practice, Thad makes the whole team go completely dry until the game's over. forcing them into a drunk take at a local police station when they refuse to listen to him. Coach Daniels ends up there too, so he can yell at him a little bit, try to get Alex to confront his demons, and in his words,
grab life by the tits and squeeze!
Sammy, after ordering 20 pizzas and passing out before the delivery guy can get paid for the 6th time, weasels the poor guy into getting hammered and helping him break the team out, in what could be the best scene of the whole series. I watched the security guard throw his nightstick and it gets stuck perfectly in the ground over and over. What a fucking shot. Big fan of this episode. Despite the pretty simple plot and goofy bits, we do get some introspection from these characters. Marty still being in love with his ex-wife, Thad and Radon being pieces of shit, Alex not taking opportunities, which he finally does with Mary Jo in this episode. Wonder whose call it was to pull the trigger on that. And it's funny to me seeing Radon wearing a TNA wrestling shirt here. We even see Sammy wearing a Kurt Angle shirt for his big fight next episode. Little Spike TV cross promotion there. Dan Patrick cameo out the gate. These cameos feel like every other episode at this point, but this one's really cool because we get the whole Dan Patrick setup in this, complete with a Marty Daniels lower third. It's pretty cool to me. Dan's interviewing Coach about his spotless record this season so far, with the team running into the Pinkertons, who have a 1-10 record and are more than ready to spoil the GOAT's perfect season, especially after Radon guarantees a 115-0 shutout, and then gets his shoulder hurt by Thad at practice. Alex, looking for the easy win and shot at redemption after the shitty bowl game, actually wants to start this time, mostly so he can have sex with hot women, but Coach sends Radon to a therapist instead, which he bangs. And the stress of all that sends Coach to the hospital with a dang heart attack. Not the banging, more the big game. I think he expected the banging.
Hey, Mia. I could use a little mothering right now.
But eventually, Radon and Coach testosterone each other into showing back up on the field, only for Thad to re-injure the quarterback in an effort to reset the psychological damage the first hit did, leaving us on the cliffhanger of Alex indeed having to start. And an imaginary Chuck Liddell trains Sammy for a fight that he loses. You know, normal mascot stuff. I, obviously, actually liked Radon looking at his relationship with his coaches and figuring out that's the root of his problems. But that emotional moment, which yes, I was invested in, is rug pulled a little when it's solved by Coach Daniels just calling him a pussy. Made me laugh out loud though, and that's what Funny Broken Lizard Man was talking about with the pure comedy cap on the emotion kind of thing. It worked well, just enough heart for something like this. The GOATs take home the dub. That's right, this episode, another one from J. Broken Lizard Man, picks up right after the game, which Alex wins, sealing a perfect season for BMS, which, of course, starts a riot, with the students trying to track down and hang the school mascot.
As is tradition.
I love making the drunk football fans these zombie parallels, putting this cast, which really is firing on all cylinders at this point, in such a different dynamic than usual. It's a gimmick episode, but it feels so natural because that sports fan post-win to zombie pipeline. Well done by the writing team here. In the chaos of the riot, the dean gets cucked, both professionally and literally, when it's Coach Marty, not him, who talks the campus down. And speaking of down...
We're in love.
Alex, fully equipped with Radon's stolen police equipment, saves Sammy. Well, I guess the cheerleaders save him, really. While Thad saves Radon in what's honestly a pretty touching end to a pretty solid season of television. Pretty cool to see how much this show has found itself over the course of 26 episodes, which really isn't that much. For shows like 30 Rock or Seinfeld, that's one season. I'm not saying this is as good as either of them by far, I'm just giving praise where it's due. And lucky for me, or if I remember correctly, unlucky for me, it was announced in April of 2011 via press release that Spike TV had picked up 13 more episodes of Blue Mountain State, with the network citing big-time ratings growth between seasons 1 and 2, up 50% with men 18 to 24, so they made sure season 3 was set to air in September of that year. In between seasons 2 and 3, we got Thad's Draft Day Diary, where Alan Ritchson actually went to the NFL draft as Thad Castle, and filmed our poor boy's slow descent into madness as he didn't get drafted. But it's also implied in this, and confirmed in episode 1 of season 3, that he didn't even declare himself eligible. Not sure what that agent he talked about earlier in the season was doing there. Maybe he dumped him after all that NCAA attention, who knows? But either way, that's more social media focus. More content just for the cool internet youth. Pretty neat. That kind of additional content, exclusively for social media, is something you see a lot of IPs do now. Was BMS ahead of its time? Press releases at the time also touted the Spike TV website, where you could check out character bios and music from the show, along with the program's Facebook and Twitter pages. BMS fans were also encouraged to quote-unquote join the GOAT House to get weekly emails and exclusive content for Season 3. Not quite as fun as Thad doing Draft Day, but again, worth noting. But unfortunately, tragically, the final episode of Season 2 was the last time in the series we saw Radon Randall. Now, I've seen all kinds of speculation of why Paige Kennedy didn't return in Season 3, mostly centering around sexual harassment allegations similar to the one the actor denies from when he was on the set of Desperate Housewives? Really? Radon was on fucking Desperate Housewives? Anyway, yeah, there's no definitive source on why we didn't get more of the unidentified black male at BMS. In universe, it's explained that the shoulder injury Thad gave him, literally in the locker room, was re-injured in the bowl game. And that injury was career-ending. A heartbreaking end to a legendary athlete. Thad gets busted for having too much pizza at a pizza party, so he doesn't get drafted, which means he wants back at BMS for his senior year. And since he didn't declare himself eligible, Coach Daniels tries to make it happen, all while dealing with a new hotshot offensive coordinator and a head coach in waiting, Marcus Gilday, gunning for his job. Gilday's portrayed by the guy who played friggin' Marcus Halberstram in American Psycho?
I didn't know about this shit. Jimmy Putt, thank you for showing me this. I greatly appreciate it very much.
He's a Marcus guy. They typecast him as a Marcus. Hey, it's me, Killian, from the Blue Mountain State video, wearing this thing on my head because my hair is an awkward length. I realized I never really explained what makes Gilday as an antagonist. As you guys know, Marty Daniels is like super old school, while Gilday, on the other hand, got hired straight from Stanford, who in real life had just graduated Andrew Luck from that program, who was the top prospect, got drafted first overall by the Colts. Big offense, big offensive numbers, really representing like the future of football, which of course contrasts well with Marty Daniels' old school mentality. So that's kind of, you know, besides gunning for his job, why Gilday is a bad guy. With that out of the picture temporarily and Radon out of the picture permanently, Coach names Alex captain and starting quarterback. And once he learns the perks, which is, buckle up for this one, sleeping with beautiful women, Alex is in too. He's even in for having the BMS GOAT branded on his ass.
As is tradition.
There's definitely some fan service this episode, and we get an Ocho Cinco cameo as a former BMS captain. Probably the best cameo of the show yet. Overall though, Gilday, not a bad antagonist to add to the cast, and not a bad way to kick off Season 3. Spike TV liked it too, apparently, enough to air episode 2 of this season directly after. That's right, back-to-back BMS. But so we don't get back-to-back K-Mac, let's get another feature in here.
Hi, my name is Cosmic. I am a professional wrestler.
And Cosmic is just smacking his face into the mat!
And Killian, as I know him,
Into the mat!
asked me to review this specific episode on this obscure, well, maybe it wasn't obscure, 90s, I would say raunchy kind of style, like if you could think of American Pie or Euro Trip kind of comedy series. I did watch the first episode just to kind of get to know how we got to Season 3, and that's the vibe I got. It's very like jock, like hazing culture, football, like bro, but not bro yet, because I think at that time they used to say other stuff like dude or whatever. So I think I watched the first and second episode. It was like we have the backup star quarterback and then like this guy who has like a promising career, but he has a girlfriend, and they're all like, oh, lose her. You're a hot commodity now. You're a hot guy. You don't need that girl. And she wants to like get married to him, so they haven't had sex. The series really revolves around these guys getting laid, I'm guessing, and is that kind of vibe. The backup, I don't really know football, quarterback, whatever he is, he's kind of like laid back. He's like, oh, I'm chill. I'm just gonna ride the wave and sleep with all the girls while everyone else actually plays the game, and I'm just sitting on the bench getting all this pussy. I saw the guy who wanted to be the mascot, and he's considered like the loser of the bunch, but they kind of still accept him. He ended up being a mascot. That's what I get from the series. And the episode I have to watch is called Dick Pics. So I'm gonna just give what I think is going to happen versus what's going to happen based just on the first episode. I'm gonna guess that someone sends a dick pic and the whole team's getting blamed for it and they're getting in trouble, and then I don't know, maybe like the coaches or the administration has to go through every individual player to look at their dicks and make sure that it wasn't them or who it was, like kind of who done it kind of situation.
Brilliant film, 5 stars.
That's my prediction for this episode. So I will be back after the episode is done. I just think that the dick pic episode is just gonna be, who sent this dick pic? Now let's look at all your dicks. That's it.
Oh my.
Okay, so I just got done watching the episode. I was like a little close, but not really. There was a lot of dick pic stories going on. So my thoughts on it, creative, I guess. It was trying to be profound on something that's supposed to be lewd, and there's always a revolving door for dick pics. It always goes through evolution. Like when the coach was saying that he used to like send dick pics by taking actual Polaroids, mail it off, and then he transitioned to faxing his dick, and now he's learning how to do dick pics on his phone. He accidentally sent it to one of the team players. So then the team player was just like, what does this mean? What does the coach want? The coach is in, I guess, in some sort of weird relationship where him and his girlfriend or wife or whatever they are trying to one-up each other. So he's like, oh yeah, you sent a dick pic? Well, here's my fucking pussy. I don't know if we can curse on that, but you can bleep it out later. He eventually sends like his asshole, and then the team player is just like confused, and he's like, yeah, sure, I'm into this, let's do this. And then that's when the coach was like, yeah, how about we don't do any of this stuff anymore, and if you like a girl, you just take her out. Oh yeah, the premises of the episode was like, a guy likes a girl, and she was like, oh, I'm not that easy, you gotta work for it. But what she meant by work for it was, I guess, send a dick pic. That was so profound and so artistic and spoke to her that she was like, yeah, I'm ready for this. But then it turns out it wasn't even his dick, it was like the other guy's dick. So he was getting all this fame off his dick. That was not his dick. Sure, it was entertaining if you like that kind of stuff. Yeah, dick pics for all.
I mean, I got nothing to add. That's a pretty good breakdown. I know I trashed him when he was first introduced, but this episode is peak Harmon. Characters like him and Donnie really stepped up in season 3 and became such an important part of this show. In a time, as we'll find out later, they really needed it. No Gilday, though, which is weird after the last episode. But hopefully that won't be a reoccurring thing. A newly peaceful Thad returns after serving a 1-game suspension for his off-season pizza party antics, with that one game being a big loss for the Goats. But that inner peace is no good for a middle linebacker, so Coach Daniels is pissed and keeps Alex captain until Thad can get his act together, or I guess, untogether.
Would you like some cocaine or a mojito?
My will is stronger than 10,000 pelicans. Namaste.
Sammy, now a live-in maid in the closet of the goat house, forgot to mention that, gets caught up in a Seinfeld-ass plot with a girl who lost her voice. Trying to keep it that way because the way she speaks is so annoying.
I'm not here. Leave a message and enjoy a beautiful day.
Is that your voice?
I don't know, to me this isn't that funny. It feels like some Everybody Loves Raymond bullshit, which is fine in a show like that, but what does it have to do with college football? What does it have to do with being a mascot? It is kind of cute how her grating ass voice is the final thing that snaps Thad back into being an absolute lunatic.
Get out of my house!
But overall, pretty forgettable. According to IMDb, that annoying voice lady, Rachel, is actually also apparently a Clementine cheerleader in season 1, which means she really fell off when she transferred. Maybe some residual backlash from everything that happened in the bowl game. Other than a decently intense scene between Coach and Alex, plus our new QB1 stepping up and showing some fairly satisfying but a little hollow party-oriented leadership, I can take or leave this episode. It's fine, but nothing to write home about. Some rough special effects, and again, where's Gilday? Have we begun the slow decline I remember in season 3? Wait, I wrote all that before I saw Alex do the big Thad combo maneuver from season 1? I take it all back. This shit rules.
Get off me, Larry!
Alright, y'all, my name is Mitch Northam. I'm a sports writer. I live in North Carolina. Help him out with his project on Blue Mountain State. I got season 3, episode 4, which is the peak. First off, I just want to start by saying I haven't watched Blue Mountain State in probably 10 to 15 years. It came out when I was in college, so I probably watched most of those episodes while I was drunk, and I haven't rewatched them since. This whole episode is basically Alex Moran has the game of his life, 7 touchdowns in a game, which apparently breaks the record set by John Elway, who actually didn't go to Blue Mountain State. He went to Stanford. I forgot that was like a theme in the show and a thing there. So yeah, big celebration. They beat the #1 team in the country. They want to go party. The cops are kind of stationed outside the house. They're not letting people go party, which leads to, people like Thad Castle getting basically like bear sprayed in the eye, which is pretty funny. Alex ends up going to a party with Sammy, meets some sorority girls there. That's kind of the A plot of the show, and then sort of like Alex being clear-eyed about how this is the peak of his life. He was a nobody, and he just threw 7 touchdowns in a college football game, and then at some point he's going to go back to Wyoming and be a high school gym teacher. The B plot of the show is between John and Coach Marty. They're celebrating after the big win too, having a party in the locker room and all this stuff, and John breaks news to Coach Marty, hey, I got a job offer to be a head coach at let me make sure I get this right. The University of Okoboji, which I looked up, is a city in Iowa with less than 1,000 people. Coach Marty basically gives him a bunch of shit about, this is your family, you're here. It's very like cliche head football coach, macho stuff going on. In the end, John decides to stay, realizes that Blue Mountain State is his family. That's pretty much the episode. Just kind of some general thoughts I had as I was watching this. I thought the opening scene was a dream sequence. Coach Marty says, hey, you guys know that we just beat the #1 team in the country? No college football team is not going to know going into the game that they're playing the #1 team. That's not really a secret that can be kept. I don't really know how they wouldn't have known that. And then just, the idea of Alex Moran throwing 7 touchdowns. I mean, you guys watch the show. You see this guy like 7 touchdowns from this skinny little soon-to-be gym teacher from Wyoming. But it's not a fever dream. It's a real thing. It's a regular season game. Like, are they really carrying old boy into the locker room on their shoulders like that after a regular season win? Maybe they are. Thad Castle's mojitos. I would drink one of those. They looked very good. And Thad Castle has a future in bartending, I think. A good quote from Coach Marty during the party that they're having in the locker room with the strippers. Quote, hey Keith, whiskey me. Which is kind of like Beer Me Blazer from Dodgeball. I enjoyed that one. The quote of the episode, though, goes to the girl who is giving Sammy a hand job.
I can't believe I just gave 9 hand jobs to a gym teacher's best friend.
Sometimes life stuff like that. Thought it was funny when John decides to stay. They call the other school's AD at 5 in the morning. He asks for a $3 million per year contract for 5 years, which I think would make him one of the better paid coaches in like Division I college football today. Certainly not in the top 10 with like your Bill Belichick's and Kirby Smarts and Dabo Sweeney's, but that's a pretty good deal, especially for whatever hell division Okoboji State is in. And he asked for it in copper piping. So obviously knew that he was not going to get this deal and just kind of completely highballed the AD. My big question, why the fuck is Sammy drinking Merlot so much and bottles and bottles and bottles of it and packing the bottles into his backpack? If that's something that happens over the course of the show, I definitely don't remember that. Again, it's been at least 12 years since I've seen this show. Only watched it once all the way through. most of the time pretty drunk with my buddies. I think overall this show is kind of like a B- network sitcom that like you might see on CBS or Fox, except they curse and there's sex and lap dances. There are some funny moments, but like there's also moments where I'm like, the acting's pretty not great here. The quality is pretty not great here. But you know, it has its moments. I definitely see why I enjoyed it while I was in college. Am I now a 33-year-old about to watch every episode of this season? No. But if I went over to one of my buddies from College House and they had an episode on, I'd probably sit down and crack a beer and watch it with them. So that's season 3, episode 4, Blue Mountain State. The peak, Alex Moran having the time of his life. Sammy having a decent time, though, you know, gets shot up by the police with some rubber bullets and some things like that. Thad Castle also not having a good time. Coach Marty and John, for the most part, having a really good time. Shout out to them. So that's the episode.
Now, Mitchell did a stellar rock and roll fantastic job of breaking this episode down, but one, I gotta point out how Coach John absolutely shined here. What a performance. And two, I gotta add that the Blue Mountain State documentary, titled Blue Mountain State, the documentary, covers this episode a little bit, which is another one directed by Jay Chandrasekhar. That's where I found the Balls Out interview, where he mentioned how comedy and a little splash of emotion drew him to the series. This doc also points out that this episode was written with the Super Troopers director in mind, which apparently was common practice for Falconer and Romansky during their writing process. Checks out. You can feel the broken lizardness in the episodes he heads up, even in the plots. Still no Gilday though, which is really annoying considering how much coach stuff we got in here, but overall, a fun episode with the most fitting director this series could have. Now, I hadn't seen the movie Training Day since I was a little baby child, and I'm not sure I even saw very much of the picture at all back then, so I rewatched it. It's good. A little long, but really well written. This episode, though, not so much. Thad gets revenge on Alex for outshining him in an interview in a similar, ooh, I'll teach you the ropes kind of way as Denzel in the movie, but with being famous instead of being a cop. As a BMS take on the movie Training Day, I guess it's fine. The two share some silly little parallels, but as a standalone episode of a television series, what's this really got going on?
What is not a damn thing?
I do like the funny Thad condom scene, though. That's good stuff. I hinted at fan service earlier, but the Mary Jo Deborah stuff in this episode feels so forced. And these Sammy storylines are getting more and more forgettable, and less featured. Something about vagina jewelry, I don't know, which I think was actually something people were doing at the time.
There is a new beauty treatment out there, and it's about bedazzle. They call it, be careful, vajazzling. Vajazzling. As if it isn't perfect just the way it is.
Tell them what they do, hold
well,
a woman.
Apparently they do some bedazzling downstairs.
It lasts
and
for
it comes
5.
with
Stop.
Don't repeat. Why did you repeat that?
You think you know
Why
a man.
did you repeat that?
Oh my gosh. No. Sherry.
But now, separated from all that, it's just kind of weird.
We happy? Yeah, we happy.
Well, I'm not. Still no Gilday, which is the biggest reoccurring issue this season. And like I said, we barely saw Sammy until he's suddenly in the midst of a mental breakdown. Too much going on, and I don't think I care about any of it. Worst episode in a while. A pre-game power outage causes the Goats to have to postpone their matchup against the Buckingham Titans until noon the next day, which means the two teams are stuck partying together the night before. And that includes a Titans cheerleader who Alex hooked up with in high school. Well, more specifically, he hooked up with the couch she was shitting on. Well, apparently he hooked up with the couch she was sitting on, but I think that's the first time we've ever heard of this fella not getting laid, so I don't know what he's really worried about. But still, he wants retribution, if you catch my drift, which he gets via turning her down after a beer pong game that's really most of this episode's runtime. All while Thad bonds with her boyfriend and his fellow Altus, the quarterback of the other team. And what's the most memorable part of this episode?
Addition to the rule. Back row of cups filled with booze, no more beer. Mojitos!
Plus, his I am Thad speech he gives Alex during the climax of this episode, great stuff. He really is back to being the sole shining light of this television program, for better or worse. And this is also the episode where the coaches play a poker game that gets way out of control, but I'm not even gonna mention who's missing. That's right.
Super Mario.
Beerfest director Man is back and hitting up an episode where Harmon gets the yips, completely unable to make even extra points and almost blowing the game for BMS. So he runs through a whole cornucopia of different solutions, including chanting and powdered goat vagina, until a psychic eventually tells him that if he wants to kick like he used to, he has to exorcise the demon that haunts him, which is obviously Thad. Who else could it be? That psychic also confirms Sammy's aspirations for more out of life. So he goes on a classic Sammy romp around town trying out different jobs until he finds out he hasn't even been enrolled at BMS since the start of freshman year. That's a funny bit, and it makes complete sense. I'm glad Chandrasekhar knows how to use this character in a way that doesn't suck. Similar to his other work, I love the simplicity of this episode. 2 plots. That's all we need. Best episode since maybe the last Harmon showcase. Congratulations to Coach Marty Daniels for going into the College Football Hall of Fame. Thad and Sammy decide to throw him a surprise party at the Goat House, where Deborah goes full Skylar White in what might be the most objectively hard to watch cringe-ass moment of the whole show.
My Hall of Famer coach. My Hall of Famer coach. You're my Hall of Famer. One sexy football gamer.
I hate that. That scene does the exact opposite of what her self-titled episode did. But Fun Facts is pretty much old war story after old war story, including Marty's disgruntled mentor throwing out some titular fun facts for Thad's big speech. But don't worry, bud. My evening was ruined long ago. Okay, that's the last time I'm playing it. One of those fun facts is how his mentor tricked Marty into staying at BMS instead of going pro early, which of course is exactly the same way Thad was tricked at the start of the season, the whole pizza party scandal. Finding this out causes Thad to quit. Until he doesn't anymore, he just accepts Marty lying to him more so they can do this Godfather bit at the end. Weird ass episode, even for this weird ass show. Gilday is back with no explanation of where he's been. Maybe they should have just waited to pull the trigger on that character until now. But then again, maybe that kind of thing is only distracting when you're binging the show. This is the episode where Thad gets a concussion, which was a pretty big talking point at that time, especially in the NFL, with motherfuckers just now realizing it might not be too great to mash potato your brain by the time you turn 25. And that's coming from a fucking professional wrestler. So you know it's real stupid. Or should I just play the little hypocrite thing? This is also the episode where Sammy almost goons himself to death when he decides to jerk off on a bench press. Which, let's be honest, death by masturbation, long overdue for this character. This is honestly the most entertaining Sammy that's been in a while. I like the way they present it, being a parody of one of those survival horror films like, I don't know, Open Water? That's all I can really think of right now. I know there's a better example than that, but I just watched all of goddamn Training Day. Give me a break here. Gilday ends up trying to use Thad's concussion being swept under the rug to take the head coaching position for himself. But with Thad repeatedly almost saving Sammy, then forgetting about him completely, the mascot takes revenge by smacking him with a weight once he finally gets free, taking him out of the game completely and unknowingly saving Coach Daniel's job. Good dad here. Not the best dad, but definitely solid dad. Another episode where we quoted him a ton in college.
No posters of me. This is not my room.
This season feels back on track now that it has a main antagonist again. No Deborah and no Mary Jo in this one, but they seem to be a little less plot essential than Gilday, believe it or not. Spike TV Bechdel test. A Hard Knocks parody. That's a fun, fitting idea, and they do a fairly good job of sticking to that format. The episode within an episode covers the ongoing tension between the coaches, the ongoing tension between Gilday and Alex, and of course Thad's leap into acting, which goddamn really is an all-time Thad showcase.
Somebody stop me!
No Mary Jo again, and I'm not exactly complaining, no offense, but the last few episodes the character really hasn't been firing on all cylinders. And while the format doesn't really make it easy for her to show up, with Sammy barely even showing up, and Deborah only popping up in the setup and closing to the framing device, but still, I figured it was worth mentioning. But then I realized Mary Jo wasn't in any more of the episodes at all. Plus, I noticed at the start of the season her name had been cut from the theme song sequence completely. So I looked into it and I found a Reddit AMA answer from showrunner Eric Falconer where he addressed Shaw's diminished role for the third season.
We shot the show in Montreal, Quebec, partly because when we started in 2009, the US dollar was really strong against Canadian dollar, and we saved money shooting there. But by the time we hit our third season, the US dollar had tanked, and we were actually losing money by shooting in Canada. Because of this, the studio asked us to make some difficult cutbacks on our budget, and unfortunately, Frankie Shaw's contract ended up being one of them. We fought to keep her on the show because we loved her, but the best we could do in the end was to get her into a couple of episodes. It was a tough loss, but if we hadn't made those cuts, there wouldn't have been a third season at all.
So that's where all the cameos went. Finding out about the budget cuts makes a ton of the decisions in Season 3 make a whole lot more sense. BMS is going to the national championship. Except, they're not. In the first of what's really a 3-part series finale, the NCAA decides to pursue the numerous violations by the university, threatening them with the death penalty, which in non-Texas terms means a complete suspension of the program for a year and no TV or bowl games for 3 years, made famous in the 1980s with the case against Southern Methodist University, which, funny enough, is in Texas, but it's really Seinfeld-esque.
The real perpetrator is walking around laughing. Lying and laughing. Laughing and lying.
How the NCAA investigator runs through all the shitty things the team has done throughout the years. And maybe I'm partial to that finale, but I like when a comedy series does that. It's like a clip show without the laziness.
What exactly is a pocket pussy?
Turns out Deborah, scorned by a cheating Marty in the past, was actually the NCAA rat all along. So they decide to get married in an effort to negate her blabbering via retroactive spousal privilege, which apparently is not a real thing. But it doesn't matter anyway, because Thad is actually the mole.
I wouldn't use the word gigolo, but I have accepted money in exchange for sex before.
So Coach marries Thad instead, as one does. But lucky for them, and lucky for the billions of dollars Thad's gonna make in the NFL, Alex saves the day by pointing out how much sweet, sweet tax-free money the NCAA would lose if BMS got the death penalty. But that doesn't stop the organization from suspending damn near the entire coaching staff and team for their upcoming national championship. Both parts 1 and 2 of The Cornfield were directed by Alex Winter, Bill from Bill and Ted. And according to Falconer, these episodes were the toughest, most ambitious ones yet. Winter said that he loved the writing, he loved the acting, and he loved working on projects that were a blend of comedy and action. So BMS was perfect for him. He also cited how tightly run the show was, along with the camaraderie of the crew on set, something you can really see in the documentary I mentioned earlier.
We all hang out when we're not shooting. Most of us go off to our trailers, you know, it's like this whatever people continue having fun. Whatever people and we cut each other off and like throw in little jokes and just keep talking.
I'm just saying that most like we also do a lot of jokes and
that are only focused on
it's a fun set. Everyone, it's good.
This is also the episode where Harmon gets to star in his own F-250 commercial. But again, budget cuts, I get it. This shit feels like the end of the second Sonic movie. He hops in that Super Duty and drives the boys to a pot field he's been growing since freshman year. A pot field Thad soon chops down to Field of Dreams it up with Blackwell in the real national championship, without the NCAA mucking things around, but still with referees somehow. Blackwell also comes complete with Evil Thad and Evil Alex, which is a funny bit.
We want to beat Thad Castle, and after we beat him, he can suck our schlongs.
Am I crazy, or does the Blackwell team come out to the Jeff Hardy song?
Introducing first from Cameron, North Carolina, weighing in at 225 pounds.
I'm not crazy. That is definitely the same song. It's a football game. A classic sports movie finale. Not shitting on it, but it just means I don't have a whole lot to say. Blackwell goes up early until Deborah grabs a drunken and dejected Gilday from the diner they've been shooting at all season. Fresh off taking over the Goats as head coach, but also fresh off getting punched in the face by Marty last episode.
I'm okay, all right? Relax.
Sammy tells Harmon he's still got the pot him and Thad had to cut down to make the field, so the team uses it like Michael's secret stuff. That, paired with a classic Marty Daniels speech and some funny flashbacks, means the squad is more than ready for Blackwell going into the second half. Coming back to win after all the stars of the television program, even defense and special teams, line up to pull off a little trickery and a little fuckery for a 16-14 victory. Thanks to a touchdown from Thad Castle. A very fitting way to end the game and a very fitting way to end the series. Love that shit. Alex gets his national championship party he's been wanting all year, and Harmon smokes the mega spliff. Everybody goes home happy.
We did it, Sammy! You know my name!
The weather apparently caused a lot of issues shooting this bad boy, with so much of it being filmed outside. Taking 2 weeks, Falconer added the team had to shoot in quote-unquote every condition you wouldn't want to shoot under. But you really don't notice anything in the final version. It's a very smooth episode. I did notice more camera movement in this episode than usual, even outside of the action stuff. Thought that was interesting. Oh, and I almost forgot.
Man, I love football so much.
Me too.
Overall, a pretty great way to end things. The crazy set and sentimentality really make it feel like a special episode, a happening, more so than any yet. I even got a little emotional in Alex's flashback of him playing football with Sammy as a kid, something he had previously mentioned in passing. Good setup, very cute payoff. Love that a lot. It does all come back to girls though, but Spike TV, gotta expect that. You probably could have got some better child actors for this though. That shit was awkward.
Nice throw. Thanks.
After season 3 wrapped, it was reported by Zap To It, whatever the fuck that is, that Spike passed on picking up the show for a 4th season, with most attributing this to the season 3 ratings drop. And I'm not exactly sure the timeline of events, but you can tell in the documentary, they knew the Cornfield 2-parter was going to be the last episode. But BMS refused to die. In October of 2012, Ed Marinero, the guy who played Coach Daniels, if you don't remember 12 hours ago when I told you, Class Act Sports quoted him as saying that he was going to try to get it done as a movie, mentioning all the fans clamoring to see it happen and setting the goal of having it hit theaters the following year. But the team couldn't make that happen. It wasn't until a 2014 Kickstarter and a social media marketing campaign, #BMS Kickstarter, that the film was able to start shooting. The Kickstarter was announced via a fake Thad Castle Jimmy Kimmel interview, and quickly gained momentum thanks to more silly Thad videos and other BMS stars like a returning Paige Kennedy, who was very popular on Vine at the time. Almost everybody was back for the Kickstarter campaign, really, with Frankie Shaw returning as well, and even Denise Richards popping up for a funny bit.
Okay.
The team really did put a ton of work into this campaign. I mean, you had classic bullshit rewards like merch, but you also had more creative incentives like Thad Castle's Kickstarter College Challenge. Students could donate and comment their school's name, and the college with the most donations would win a private screening and party with the cast, with the eventual winner being Arizona State. The party was thrown at El Jefe in Tempe, Arizona. Tempe? Is that really how you say that? Tempe? And the screening took place the next day at Hawkins Theater in Scottsdale. They also just randomly went and partied with some colleges to promote the movie, and I don't know how well that worked, but it seemed like everyone was having a good time. Some of these Kickstarter videos are pretty rough, got some season 1 levels of cringe here, but good golly gosh, it paid off. And who better to direct the film than our boy Jay Chandrasekhar, who hopped on the Kickstarter campaign as well.
Will Coach Daniels ride a motorcycle while 69ing a girl? I'd like to have more money to do that kind of thing.
They ended up generating 23,999 backers, who pledged a total of $1,911,827.10. I'm stupid. 10 of those backers apparently hit the $10,000 tier, which means they got a speaking role in the movie. I'm not too familiar with kickstarting a film, but does that kind of thing happen a lot? It seems cuckoo, nutso, butso crazy to me. Another example I found from a quick Google search was the Veronica Mars movie. Comment below if you paid for a speaking role in the Veronica Mars movie. Everything seemed ready to rock and roll until suddenly, in September of 2014, we got news that Chandrasekhar was out and a new director was in. And that new director was one Lev L. Spyro, who not only directed 4 episodes of BMS, but whose film resume includes the Wizards of Waverly Place movie and Beverly Hills Chihuahua 3. Viva la Fiesta. Falconer explained why Chandrasekhar was replaced as director in that aforementioned Reddit Q&A.
Chandrasekhar signed on to the movie during the Kickstarter campaign, but it was so early on in the process we didn't have anything in place. By the time we got the prep and shooting schedule set, Jay had booked a few other jobs. We thought about pushing the schedule to accommodate Jay, but that would have screwed us with cast schedules and production, and in the end we had to move on. We brought in Lev Spyro, who did an amazing job with very short notice. We were lucky. We had so many great directors who worked on the series that we had a lot of great talent to choose from in that regard.
According to Richson and Brooks on social media, the film, shot mostly in North Carolina, wrapped in mid-December of that year and was originally slated for a spring 2015 release, but due to production issues was delayed until February 2nd, 2016. The details of those production issues were kinda hard for me to nail down, with the biggest smoking gun being a now deleted but still Wikipedia cited tweet from Falconer, where he says the picture originally got an NC-17 rating and he had to cut it down to make it an R. I also saw speculation on Reddit that there were issues with the location, the college that they used to film at being not too happy with how out of control the movie was going to be, but I couldn't really confirm that anywhere. In fact, I'm done doing research completely. Let's ask the real questions here. Is this shit even good? No, it's not.
Bitch ass, I know you lying.
I forgot what my line.
Blue Mountain State!
Oh no.
Return to the rise of the undoing of Thadland. This is the name of the picture, right? What is it? Fucking answer me.
Rise of Thadland.
Blue Mountain State, Rise of Thadland. It's a film that exists.
You didn't like it.
It gave me season 1 vibes.
That's fair. Unorganized.
Unorganized. It was fun. There was a simpleton charm to it all, but didn't have the quotability or the likable characters. And it's funny because they're all the same characters.
True.
But they weren't as likable as they were in like season 2 or even season 3.
I liked it, but I get that it's bad, if that makes sense.
Oh, completely.
Like you said before, if it wasn't Blue Mountain State and it was just a movie, we'd hate it.
I haven't said that before yet.
Oh.
So you should just say that.
Like you said that.
Like you said.
I didn't want to steal your shit.
No, say it.
If it was just a movie and it wasn't Blue Mountain State, it would be ass.
That is a really good point. That's one of the smartest things you've ever fucking said in your entire life. No, but I agree, especially from the standpoint of there's already this love we have for these characters.
Yes.
And even to a certain extent, like Blue Mountain State itself. But that's one of the flaws of the film, and it's a little CinemaSins-esque, but they don't use the same goat house as the series.
It takes me out right away.
And when the whole plot is we have to save the goat house from the evil dean, which is, why they're hitting up Thad. He's got all the NFL money. He's got to buy the house so the dean can't.
Yep.
Because the dean's going to tear it down.
Mm-hmm.
And when that's your whole, for lack of a better word, emotional connection, the issue, the problem, the conflict.
This ain't my goat house.
It's all thrown away when I see an establishing shot and it just looks like some fucking Airbnb that they were able to shoot out.
Out in a field somewhere.
Right, completely isolated.
It doesn't feel like it's on campus.
Nope, it feels completely off campus, which that was one of the appeals of the goat house, is this was the party spot of Blue Mountain State.
Party at the goat house!
Right, and no one wants to drive 20 minutes to get there.
When they're partying, I'm like, where did all these people come from?
They Ubered over there.
When it's not the goat house, I don't know, it feels off.
I saw rumors that the goat house got condemned, the real goat house. It shouldn't take me out of the movie, and it really doesn't. It's not the end of the world, but during those shots, during those moments, there's a disconnect.
Big time.
What I do like, though, that's different from the series, Harmon's facial hair.
You did mention that.
I haven't yet, Nelly.
At brunch. At brunch.
This is our second time doing this, so it's all blurring together.
I like Harmon that he's the big drug guy. And like, how do we make him the craziest drug guy? Oh, I know. He'll ferment poop in the movie.
Yeah, there's a whole Jenkum plot. That's the,
I can't believe there's a word for it.
Well, yeah, Jenkum. That's technically the word for when you ferment piss and shit and then sniff it to get high.
That's a real thing.
YouTube, if you keep this monetized, you're pussy.
If you keep it monetized?
Yeah.
If they give you money?
If they give me money when I'm teaching people how to ferment shit, you're bad at your job.
I dare you.
I dare you to put commercials on this. That means you love sniffing shit. What's that woman's name who owns YouTube? What's her name?
Fuck if I know.
Glenda.
Glenda Wilson.
Donnie's gay!
Hey, everybody! That's a thing.
That's definitely a thing. And part of the reason I wanted to have this style of discussion is that subplot. I feel like there's a lot to unpack. It's queerly. It's queerly. It's queerly a retcon.
I don't think you can say that.
I was doing a lot worse in this video. I remember there was an episode where he recounts a story and he makes sure to include that he has chicks rubbing all on him, which could be compensation, but it definitely feels like, oh, it's been a few years. This is the state of homosexuality in sports. You wouldn't have gotten that during the series itself.
Not on Spike.
Not on Spike. I don't want to sound like woke mind virus got BMS, because that's not what I'm saying. It just feels...
They definitely just wrote that in just to write it in.
Yeah.
That wasn't a through line in the series. But
No,
I
definitely
like
not.
to think Donnie has always been gay.
And he was in the closet.
He's in the
before.
closet. Because he's in a locker room in like, what, fucking 2011?
Yeah. Harmon knows, though. He came out to Harmon first. How cute is that?
That makes so much sense.
Yeah, I think it's very cute.
Because they're boys. Like, Harmon's like, yeah, I know.
Donnie started on special teams when they were both freshmen. He was the long snapper.
Which, it feels weird that when Alex gets there that Donnie and Harmon are freshmen. Harmon especially.
Right. That
Feels
first
like Harmon's
episode
already
with
been
Harmon.
Because they're like, oh, this guy's a lunatic. Like, did
Right.
Alex just show up late? This guy just became a legend right away. Maybe because he's such a drug guy, they were like...
Yeah, he was immediately the plug for the whole team.
Yeah. When you watch the series, it feels like Harmon's been there an extra year.
Yeah, he's at least a sophomore, it feels like.
Yeah,
when he's-
but I
when
guess
there.
he's not.
Thank God he's not, because he, much like season 3, he was a highlight of the movie.
Yeah.
But not as much as our boy, I mean, we've said it for every episode, every feature in this whole video has talked about it. This movie is made or braked by Alan Ritchson.
The GOAT.
Yeah, who helped write it. It was his first time writing. He helped get it made, and it was his first time in that role. When you were watching the movie, I was in another room, and I heard you watching the movie, and I only heard you laugh out loud a couple times. And one was that scene.
This may come as a surprise to you, but I'm not the super smart Alan Einstein that everyone thinks I am. You motherfucker! What the?
That shit took me out. That was the funniest part of the movie.
I agree.
And also the most, like, obscure part of the movie.
Like weird?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The super thing is... Can you say that? Glenda, can you say that?
The thing feels a little out of place. And it's not in a way where I feel like the show is mocking side. But that almost makes it weirder that they're taking it so seriously.
Yeah. It comes out of nowhere. Oh, fuck.
You're on nicotine? Well, you should bring up the Bill Maher stuff. I guess
do that now.
You saw him on Bill Maher's podcast.
Yeah, Bill Maher, which is funny.
Weren't they like arguing about him being a Christian?
Well, anybody who's a Christian,
Bill Maher mad.
He gets pissed. He just gets mad. But the weird thing was, Alan Ritchson was talking about how, like, because this was, I think, 2 years ago or something. And he was talking about how a couple years before that, he was dead set on killing himself.
Do you think that because he was a writer and a producer, weird question that kind of just dawned on me, and it might be a little insensitive, but do you think that's why that weird out of place thing popped up?
I don't know if he knew at that time that that's what he wanted.
Right, because that was way before, but that's something like...
But I think it might have been like in the back of his head, how do I cope with this? How do I feel with this? And he kind of just wrote it out, which it feels out of place in the movie, but
yeah,
I think it might have been something he just like had to write out to deal with. He didn't know how to express it, so to speak.
Right,
so
and that's why it pops up in this.
That's where I think it comes up, yeah.
Yeah, which, no, I get. I've done that.
Which, for some reason, the scene is the funniest scene. This guy might have been going through some fucking shit.
Yeah.
And he's just trying to write out, but he's still so funny.
Yeah.
Which Bill Maher gets mad at him for wanting to kill himself. It's like, why? I'm a liberal. I fuck with him, but he's weird.
When you have somebody who's like, I wanted to kill myself, and you're like, what for? What's wrong with you? It's like,
and then you attack him for being a Christian. It's like, what the fuck? He's an old school liberal. He hasn't changed. You've changed. Anyway.
An interesting little factoid I found out about this is originally Jay Chandrasekhar, the guy who directed Beer Fest and
Club
Dread, right, and Super Troopers. He was originally slated to direct this. He did a lot of the promotional material with the Kickstarter, but the schedules didn't line up.
Yeah.
And not to like...
Alright, you have to stop beating off on camera.
Not to like...
Not that way.
Not to like...
Get it away.
Not to jerk ourselves off. But we've been part of the pre-production for films. Everybody take this fucking seriously.
You just tried to jerk me off.
It's a metaphor, dude.
Oh. Okay.
Now I'm pissed.
Queerly, it's a metaphor.
But the schedules didn't line up, and they ended up using Lev Spyro, who directed a couple episodes of the series. And they're solid episodes, but then you look at the episodes that Chandrasekhar directed. Marathon Monday.
Banger.
The Peak.
Banger.
Drunk Tank.
That's a banger.
Yeah, that's one of the best episodes with one of the best shots in the entire series. From your perspective, if you were the quarterback, quote unquote, and you were in charge of the movie, would you have pushed back production to get him as a director? It costs a lot of money to do something like that.
Yeah.
You're going to take a big hit on the budget.
Easy answer is yes, but my number one priority would be Alan Ritchson.
You literally can't do it without
You
that.
can't do it without him, but I'd be like, okay, what's your schedule? And if he's like, okay, I can't do it when the Club Dread guy is available,
Then
okay.
Alan takes priority.
Alan is number one, yeah.
Okay. But that's
it's
the only
Rise
thing.
of Thadland.
Yeah.
And also he's the most talented guy on that cast.
Right.
By far.
But that's the only thing that would hold you up.
Yes.
You would push every scheduling.
Everybody can suck my balls.
Yeah, locations, all that stuff.
I need this, which they didn't get the director or the location.
Right, yeah, that's another good point, you're right. We talked about Alan Ritchson and we talked about him writing for the first time. He was also a big part of writing season 4, which apparently is written, I guess it's up to Amazon Prime. What's interesting is this video is gonna come out, I don't know, end of summer 2025. I haven't seen any news about season 4 since February of 2025, something like that.
Yeah, I wonder where they're at in the process. I guess it's all written.
It seems to be all written.
They're just pitching it.
And Ritchson seemed very positive of what he was saying about Amazon picking it up, but I don't think there's been an official word from Amazon saying we're going with it.
Give that man all the money. Give him everything he wants.
I think that's essentially the situation is that, oh, this is Reacher, this is our new golden boy. Well, what do you want to do? And he's like, I miss Thad. He says all the time Thad is the most fun he's ever had playing a character.
Yeah, I can imagine. Like, he's so goofy, but he will knock you the fuck out.
Yeah, he's a very complex character, which sounds silly to say, but I say this at the beginning of the video, he is the deepest Blue Mountain State character.
Remember how he got the name Thad?
Yeah, I'm Thad. I'm Thad. Which is another retcon, okay? His father calls him Thad in the first season, in the Pocket Pussy episode.
What's your son's name? His name's Thad.
You know what I loved? We haven't mentioned him yet. Shout out my boy, Dick Dog.
Dick Dog rules.
Dick Dog is one of the funniest parts of the
He's
film.
a great, like, Larry was kind of
a pushover.
Yeah. Where he's kind of like, let Thad do whatever, but that's your boy, whatever. Dick Dog kind of brings, like, Thad will fuck you up. Dick Dog could also fuck you up.
You basically are getting two Thads.
He's Thad, but straight-laced. Where Thad will, like, scream or...
Yeah.
Like, he's very cartoonish. Dick Dog is, yeah, bro, what's up?
It made me wish Dick Dog was in the series.
Yeah, but he already had Larry.
Yeah, exactly. And that is pretty much what Dick Dog is. He's
Larry.
a Larry replacement.
Yeah, because Larry's coaching.
You don't ball tag your coach!
And the through line is him, like, getting the team together because they all clown him the first time.
Yeah, which I really, really liked that
I loved it, yeah.
I wish they had gotten more into Larry because Larry was a senior with Thad, but Larry's not quite good enough to get into the NFL. So what's he do? He stays at Blue Mountain State as a coach.
Yeah. Which, would you take your boy seriously if he started like the
Right,
shit you've
yeah.
been through on a team and then he's coaching, he's like, team huddle. And you're like, fuck you, dude.
Yeah.
But, you know, eventually you gotta listen to him because he is your coach.
Right, I wish they had done more with that. And they do pay it off.
They pay it off.
Because they need to get everybody together and he's like, Larry.
They kind of give everybody all these different through lines. Like Donnie's gay. Larry's a coach, he's got to get the team together.
Harmon's fermenting shit and piss.
And he's got a great goatee.
We've been down here for days, messing around with different temperatures. More poop, less pee, more pee, less poop.
No, no, no!
Now,
you're so quirky.
Where was the radon at?
Ask the Desperate Housewives where radon was.
Oh,
Allegedly.
We can't confirm that that's why he wasn't in the picture very much. But he gets like one shot where he's called by his name and reacts, and then he's got one line near the end of the movie, and it's a very funny line.
At least he went out the way he wanted to.
Partying like a motherfucker, nothing wrong with that.
I love that character, and they just did nothing with him.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Weird.
They gave Craig Shiloh the rub.
Yeah, and I was excited to see him.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was very exciting to see Shiloh. But the character of Alex has transformed so much over the course of the series that Alex has more or less kind of become a straight man. He's had to step up and become a leader. And Shiloh was always the straight man in season 1.
Mm-hmm.
So when they get back together, they can't have him just be normal.
Yeah.
So Shiloh does this like weird thing where he like lifts his
Show
shirt
off
up and
my
he's like,
abs.
feel my abs. And it feels very out of character
It's
for
like
Shiloh.
a Radon thing.
It feels like that scene was written for Radon and they replaced it. What do I got? Have I had that the whole time?
No, I don't think so.
Well, you just took it
You
off
tell
on
us,
camera. Glenda, can you comment below and let us know?
What I really would have liked, now that I think about it, why was there no Radon and Craig like dynamic?
Right.
I'd like to see them interact, which allegedly, that's probably the reason why they didn't do it or didn't have Radon so much in the movie.
Because they had Craig? Or
No, because allegedly, you know.
Oh, he likes to flirt with extras, allegedly.
Flirt, flash, whatever.
I brought it up in the video. I don't have to do it again. But there were also rumors of that kind of behavior on the set of this. But again, that's just people posting on a forum. That's just people speculating. So I can't sit here and say that's a definite thing. But I just have to look at it from a critic point of view and say there's not enough Radon in this film.
What's the director's name? Fuck, I forget.
Jay Chandrasekhar or Lev Spiral?
Sammy.
Oh, Romanowski.
Romanowski.
Yeah.
He loved showing his dick in this.
Oh my God, that little thing is flopping around so much. I'm like, damn. I got small meat. I couldn't have mine bouncing around like that. He
doesn't give a fuck.
Shameless about how little his cock is.
He doesn't give a fuck.
And that's the thing about Chandrasekhar is he's the only one who can really make Sammy work.
Yeah, he's such a pervert piece of shit.
Right, and it's so easy for Sammy to become unlikable. But for some reason, Marathon Monday, Drunk Tank, these are Sammy's best fucking episodes.
Yeah.
Chandrasekhar knows how to make that dude shine.
And Sammy fucked over the pizza guy. He's like, I'll pay for the pizza.
Right, he's such a piece of shit in that episode, but he's awesome.
Yeah.
When he's like...
He saves the day.
Right, he's coming through the fucking tunnel
mud.
like it's the...
He built that
the
tunnel.
Great
He's like,
Escape.
He's like, I've been working on this shit for years. Who's the dude on CNN? Fucking Wolf Blitzer?
Up the Ra, Nigel.
Up the Ra. You look like you're about to debate Wolf Blitzer.
The Blue Mountain State movie, as far as I'm concerned, is the two-part series finale, The Cornfield. It's a football game. It feels like the end to a sports film.
Yeah. You know what I was talking about earlier? That two-parter is such a good series finale. Like, the end of the story of these characters. Devil's Rejects was such a good finale for those characters because they get shot and killed by the police. But then, a few years ago, they came out with 3 from Hell, which brought them back, brought the bad guys back.
And you felt like that's what
I'm
Rise
like-
of Thadland was.
Kinda, yeah, where it was like, damn, you had such a good series ender, and then they did the movie, and I'm like, it's cool. I'm happy to see these characters again, but it feels like, not a bad send-off, but kind of like, damn, you already had the perfect ending. Everybody was hyped, at least in my friend group, we were all hyped, like, oh, there's a Blue Mountain State movie. We're so hyped. We all watched it, and we're like,
Immediately forgot everything.
like, all right,
Because
yeah.
that's what you kept describing it.
It's very
to me.
forgettable.
Forgettable. That's
It's
the
very
main word.
forgettable.
And you know what's really forgettable? Marty Daniels' plot. Jay Chandrasekhar, during the Kickstarter, was hyping up, oh, give us money so we can have Marty Daniels 69 and a chick on a motorcycle. And then it, it raises a shitload of money, and it looks worse than this shitty green screen. And then Marty Daniels just fucking goes away, and he has that one cute little scene with Thad where they're like, I miss you, I love you. They say it at the same time, and it's kind of awkward.
yeah. They can't admit.
They can't
that
admit it,
they're
and
vulnerable.
it's a cute moment, but he's one of the most well-acted, best casted, flushed out, deepest characters in the whole series, and you blew it. You
Yeah.
absolutely blew it.
I don't even think he's 69, does he? I think he just eats
He just
her-
eats it, yeah. They
just
couldn't
eats
even
her
get that
hoo-ha.
right.
Eats her hoo-ha.
So yeah, I don't think it was a very good film. It felt like season 1 to me.
That's fair. What would you rate it out of 10?
4, probably. What about you?
It's a stupid score. I'd give it like a 5.3. Stop jerking off on camera. If it wasn't Blue Mountain State, it'd be like a 2.4.
And I think maybe part of the reason I was kind of disappointed in it is the fact that I'm just Blue Mountain State exhausted. Like, I'm tired of this fucking show.
They
In
glue
fact,
you too much.
you fucking finish this video. We're gonna cut all this out so it stays like dramatic.
No, we're not.
Yes, we are.
No, we're not.
I'm sick of this show. Take him home, Nelly.
So I have this Asian impression, and I can do it for you right now.
Wait, no!